Okay, welcome to the third edition and the Christmas edition of Strike and Mike, here with Eric Stryker. And we thought, as usual with Strike and Mike, the conversation is wide-ranging and covers a lot of topics, but we're going to try and start today by expanding on an idea that I had touched on a recent Daily Show, where I talked about how one way that we're going to take our culture back from the Jews is by developing our own culture of critique. That's how they subverted our culture, and we're going to do it back to them. And part of the culture of critique that the Jews had developed was this book, The Authoritarian Personality, which basically took the personality traits of essentially a normal white person and psychologize them, undermine them, attack them as somehow pathological, somehow sick, somehow representative of repressed sexual urges, repressed violent urges, antisocial tendencies, insecurities, all this shit, when in fact it's just a normal white family people were the ones that they were attacking. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the Jewish ideal type, the type of white person they want you to be, and we're going to analyze that person. And so right now we're going to start with our new concept of the Bugman Personality. And we're starting analyzing that, breaking it down, and attacking that personality type.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. I think, of course, Star Wars is a good place to start.
Yes. When discussing the Bugman Personality.
We see how, I think someone else mentioned this, the guy from the alt-right blog. He mentioned that a lot of times these movie people... because obviously Star Wars is a cash grab, right? I mean, there's going to be...
Now, is that alt-right or alt-right?
Shit if I know. Those, the blogs no one reads. Those. Okay. So, he was saying that sometimes they make these movies extra diverse in a real, the Star Wars universe is more believable than the cast of characters, like the makeup of them, all right? And so they do this to stop legitimate criticism of a movie with a very thin plot, very no substance, and I think that is very interesting because that kind of shallow consumerism, that if something looks a certain way but has nothing inside, the really pretty box, and I think we see this cultural tendency in the peak of the Bugmanism, which is this cultural trend where it's all glitter and no substance. And I think that is a great analogy for life that urban young men are living right now.
Yeah. Now, I think that article you're mentioning, was that on Alternative Right? Because that's the narrative that when the first movie in this new trilogy came out a couple years ago, that I saw Colin Liddell running with that, which is that because everybody was talking about, the movie is subversive, it's got this anti-white stuff, it's got this race mixing stuff, it's they're replacing all the white characters with minorities, it's a direct attack and blah blah, right? And all those narratives, and certainly we can explore those narratives, but Colin's point, regardless of other shitty things that Colin did later on, Colin's point there was that it's a defense mechanism for a studio that doesn't have a good product. Like, here, our movie is shitty and empty, so we're putting a girl and a black guy as the main characters, and then now no one's going to criticize it. Everybody's going to say it's great. And this is similar to, I think that's definitely part of it. Like, there's multiple aspects to it, and that's definitely one aspect that you can minoritize, if you will. You can put a bunch of minorities on a film, and that will shield it from criticism. Kind of the same way that, like, if you see a normal white family with children, your instinct isn't to go out and be like, oh, how wonderful and lovely your children are. Now, that's a shame. That would be nice if people would do that kind of thing again. Yeah. But when you see a white woman and man together and they have like a mulatto child, like someone they've adopted or something, then people will come up and they'll praise them for that. Yeah. And it's like the praise hides the fact that this is actually ugly. You know what I mean? Like it's not beautiful. Because if it was beautiful, you wouldn't feel the need to say it all the time. Frankly, a happy, wholesome white family should be a norm that doesn't need to be commented on. When I see it, at least when I was still in New York City, when I saw it, I would feel like, wow, that's something that needs to be commented on. There's like a intact white family. Like, you don't see that too often, right? But you do see all the time, people with mixed race children or children of different race than themselves, and people will go up and they'll overly congratulate because it's so beautiful, and that's kind of the Star Wars was like cashing in on that tendency, and they couldn't quite hide it because still nobody wanted the black action figures.
Well, I mean, when it comes to shit like Star Wars, I mean, I personally never liked Star Wars aside from like the really old ones, maybe like one or two. But I think the thing with the Star Wars franchise in general and its relationship to Disney is that I believe Star Wars is sort of like a cash cow, right?
Of course,
and so
absolutely.
They milk the cash cow so that they can. I mean, this is how Jewish media works. They have a couple of cash cows that they know people will see or pay money for, and then from there they subsidize the unprofitable stuff, like the Disney Channel with the cartoons that have the boys kissing and shit that gets parents to, for every parent that thinks that's a good thing or doesn't notice that their kids are watching this, there's two parents that cancel their Disney subscription when they see that shit.
Yeah.
So they make up for that profit loss from promoting or pushing avant-garde cultural Marxism in their, avant-garde in the degenerating sense. They make up for it through $1 billion you can reliably make on Star Wars, and because Disney, a good Disney movie hasn't come out in decades, and it's very interesting because the last son of Walt Disney, the last relative of Walt Disney, when he died. Jews like Iger, they started purging the company of normal people. And
you
now
mean Eisner? Michael Eisner?
Yeah, Eisner and now Iger.
Oh, okay.
So this is like this. I believe the last relative of Walt Disney died like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and these Jews started to basically purge. This was the guy that was sort of keeping the lid on it.
Yeah.
You still have some great Disney movies in the 90s, right? You got Lion King and such. But the wholesomeness they now have now they're just going all out. They're letting it all hang out.
Beauty and the Beast was probably the last like truly European Disney movie.
True. I mean, there were others. How about The Hunchback of Notre Dame was a good one.
I didn't catch that. I think that was before Beauty. I don't remember exactly when. I mean, a lot of people liked Frozen because it was white, and there were no non-white characters in Frozen, which was I thought remarkable at the time that it came out. However, Frozen was a feminist story, and there was also gay shit like snuck in there low key in the sauna scene.
Yeah, it used to be that in Disney movies they'd hide the dicks, right?
Yeah,
like the Little Mermaid with the famous poster where there's like a bunch of cocks behind the Little Mermaid and stuff. Now it's right in your face. It's not so. It's not a joke. This is the actual ideology. And a couple of weeks ago there was a mom that wrote an editorial in the New York Post talking about her as a mom of 3 kids. And she's complaining that this stuff is over the top. She was mentioning a show called Star versus the Forces of Evil, where the main character is a young boy who dresses up as a princess. All right, so he's a transsexual boy. He's the hero, and his name is Princess Turd Ina. Right. And that is a feces joke, right? So it's a tranny who loves potty humor, and so this is all about how this boy, he's fighting the gender normative villain, right? Yeah. And such, and he just wants to be a prince. So, the point of the story is that it's priming kids, to kids. There are some kids out there that are on the margins, that are on the fence, that have been molested, that might have a tendency towards mental illness and such. And these Jews are taking it upon themselves to push those kids over the fence and start romanticizing being a cross-dressing freak.
Yeah, but the other aspect of that is that, and I was going into this a little bit on the Daily Show, is that the other aspect of that is that when you say that something like tranny or a homosexual or some freak like that, somebody who's not normal, who's abnormal. Whether it's their fault or not, whatever, I'm not getting into like a casting necessarily like moral blame, but the issue is when you say that person is just as good. Okay, there's a lot of like implicit things that get carried along with that. So you're saying like, okay, the tranny is just as good, the queer is just as good, the fag is just as good, and you could be like, okay, there's that, but then they add on top of it the normal standards, the normal heterosexual, monogamous heterosexual relationship standards, sexual standards of society, and non-race mix. So the normal sort of intra-racial heterosexual monogamous relationship that was the norm in Western society until very recently is marginalizing to these things. So you've already placed the idea that these identities, tranny, homosexual, whatever, are just as good, and then you say, but the expression and the existence of this other thing as the norm is marginalizing, and that therefore actually reverses the moral paradigm. So you're not just saying these people are just as good as anybody else, you're actually saying they're better, and the normal thing is bad. And what happens then is that you get people that, some of them on the margins, they get pushed over the edge, but you even get normal kids that now become fucked up because they are normal and they think that that's bad. Like, how many times, and I've heard from younger people in this movement, like I even got this somewhat when I was younger. I wasn't totally susceptible to it because, you know, I talked about it with my friends and we would say, like, why is it that, like, because we're white, we're expected to, you know, carry all this blame? And some of my friends had dads that were actually conservatives, and their dads would be like, fuck that. Like, never be ashamed of who you are. You know what I mean? And so they would bring that back and we would say stuff like that. But nowadays, like, so many people that I've met that are in their 20s or their late teens that are in this thing are saying, like, oh yeah, when I was like 13 or 14, I hated that I was white. I hated myself for being white. Because they absorbed all these narratives, right? And so then you can cast on top of that not just the white, but the heterosexual, the normative. You know what I mean? So it's like those people that are living the traditional normal life, which is the evolutionary biological norm that produces a good society, are now like every moral is inverted. So when you say like the tranny kid is just as good, he's not only just as good, he's a hero. Yeah. He's a hero, and that like morally impugns the social norm and just fucks all of society up, and that's what the Jews are doing here.
Well, here's the thing too. A lot of people take up these absurd identities like transsexual, trans pony. They become weirdos because that's the way to find a community. That's the only, as a white, to a politically correct way to find a community. For example, if you live in a major city and you're alone, say you want to make some friends, the easiest way to do it is to become a social justice activist, because they have their own neighborhoods. Usually it's the center of town that's getting gentrified, you know, the hipster thing, right?
They have networks.
This is like a set of politics, right? And you have to ask yourself, because you remember you were talking about the Rankin Bass movies, how they celebrate the outsider and the underdog. Well, now with this new Bugman personality, they celebrate the conformist, because see, the Jews, Rankin Bass, they celebrate the underdog and the outsider as long as it's them. Once they're the dominant group, once they're in power, you know, just like the left championed the free speech movement in the 60s, and then as soon as they use their free speech to take over academia, they silence the free speech of everyone else and no longer believe in it. The same is true for this whole underdog in-group dichotomy, that is now the worst thing you can be is the outsider, right? Now that they have the power, that they set the norms, that the inmates have taken over the asylum, now it's seen as negative. And you'll notice this in the media, because, I mean, I personally in the movies I've seen lately, I haven't seen so much of that celebration of the misfit, of the outsider. Yeah,
that was an 80s thing. It was the most prevalent, to my mind, in the 80s, and I guess it went back further. But
yeah. I mean...
It was big in the 80s, and it was sort of like there was direct correlation. There was direct, obvious metaphors for Jews and Gentiles, like Revenge of the Nerds and Can't Buy Me Love and those kind of movies. But... But yeah, no, I see what you're saying, and it's also like if you notice the way the alt-right is talked about by like Vice, like they're not making us out to be evil, mean oppressors. Like, you know, they kind of play both angles with it. You know, like they'll play. It's like they're in a spot where it's not necessarily one or the other, but it's like they'll take either side, whichever side is more advantageous. If they think it's good to scare people about the alt-right, then they'll portray us as big and scary. If they think that it's good to portray us as weak outcasts, which is more often than not, they're like, right. Oh, basement dwelling spurgs, autists, etc. And I remember, you know, we have our internal memes where we're making fun of people and stuff and whatever. But when Elle Reeve came on the Daily Show, she kept trying to bait me into saying, no, it's really true. We are a bunch of basement dwelling spurgs. You know what I mean? And it's like, come on, lady, like I'm not that fucking stupid. But like, but the other point of it is that there are people that come into this because they are alienated and they're seeking a community. And so, you know, that's not their fault, right? Like, if you were born into this society in this day and age and you're white and you don't identify with all this shit, what are you going to do? You're going to feel alienated until you find our community.
Yeah. Oh, no, I agree. And I think there's nothing to be, you know, it's hard out there. It's hard. It is hard to make friends nowadays. It is hard to have a good woman to get a date even. You know, just because you might struggle with some of these things, it doesn't mean that you're a loser or a misfit. And yet, look at how the bug media, Vice and such, they have gone, you know, supposedly the hipster is the nerd, right? The cool. Yeah. The nerds have. Here's the thing. You were talking about Revenge of the Nerds before. Well, now the nerds are cool. Yeah. Now the beautiful people wear the horn-rimmed cut glasses. The beautiful people are the ones that shop at the thrift shop, or rather, pay $200 for a 1996 Chicago Bulls championship T-shirt that looks like it's been washed a million times. And then, so you know, the outsiders are the insiders now, and look at how they use their power. They see young men who might be struggling with women, who might be struggling economically, who might be struggling socially, and instead of reaching their hand out to them, they mock them. Yeah. They mock them as losers and basement dwellers and such. You know, why not reach your hand out to the young men? You know, this is sort of what Andrea Nagel does. Yeah, she's the ginger leftist, the Irish chick leftist, and I like her actually. I like some of the stuff she writes because she's not so hostile to the young white men that she studied. Yeah, well, that's you know, we saw the same thing with the New York Times and Tony Hovater. Is that like right? Well, with Angela, the Judeo left trolled her off of Twitter. Yeah. They drove her off because she was saying things that they were interpreting as Nazbol, if you can believe it or not. Just because she isn't extremely hostile to the out group, the outsiders, the bugmen in the J left basically made her life miserable and made her shut down her Twitter because she couldn't deal with them anymore. Yeah, I should probably, you know, she's never going to hear this unless maybe she low-key has a subscription. I don't know. But I was not, I was a little bit hard on her at NPI because I hadn't read her book and I didn't know this about her. And I went up to her and I said, hey, you know, why not come on TRS and do an interview with me? And her response was telling. Her response was, well, you'll survive that, but I won't. And I said to her, well, you know, if you, and then she said, but I need to do an interview with you. I want to do an interview with you, for something I'm working on. And I was like, well, if you're not coming on my show, then sorry. And I walked away. And then later on during my speech, I called her out for being a coward. Well, along with the other media that was in the room, I basically did a tirade against the actual media personalities in the room itself, and I was like, "You're all a bunch of pieces of shit, and everybody hates you." And I actually yelled at them like, "The thing that you don't get is that half of this country, the white half, fucking hates you people. Like they fucking hate you. The people that voted for Donald Trump, they hate you." I would say, of those people, of the people, of that 50% or more of Americans that hate these media scumbags, these liars, about half of them would love to lynch you from a lamppost, and the other half would watch and do nothing as others lynched you on a lamppost. I mean, this is the reality that journalists need to understand, that they're making people very angry because we see that you're cherry-picked for your conformity and your ideology. You are assholes. You are liars that are motivated purely by fear. You fear pain. You fear lack of prestige. You have no real intellectual open minds in the sense of, as we see with Nagel, who demands that we talk to her about everything, but she won't talk to us in the sense of going on your show, right? Because of the peer pressure, of the politically correct policing that goes on in these circles. I mean, journalists in general, they have their own world with their own set of values that most Americans just don't have. And it's going to catch up to them, just like the writers of Pravda, right?
And they're aware, they're well aware of this, and they've become, they've caught on to my bit. They won't talk to me anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you're easily in the top 5 alt-right people, and
they won't talk to me. And what happens is I now have this thing. I have this thing where when others, and I see them branching out and contacting people. I don't know how they're doing it. Maybe through Twitter. They see people on Twitter and they DM, or they see them on Facebook making posts. I don't know what it is, but occasionally I get people DMing me or PMing me or messaging me. And like, this reporter is reaching out to me and is saying this, that, or the other. And I always get the number. I always get the number of the reporter, and I give them a call. And they don't want to talk to me. They'll typically make an excuse to get off the phone real quick, or they'll just hang up.
Yeah.
So it's not like they really want to do a story on the alt-right, Like,
well, I always make this comparison. For example, why would you talk to these people? Would Andrea Nagel let the Daily Stormer do a documentary about her life,
right?
About what she does,
exactly,
about her life? No.
Exactly.
So why would anyone in our camp let her do that? You see, this is what pisses me off. All these guys, these women, they'll
it's usually women.
Yeah, women, somewhat attractive women. Sometimes they will. They'll
attractive enough
for the average alt-right that hasn't seen that is maybe a little isolated to you, and they'll start scratching your ego. They'll start to fan your balls, and long story short, you end up giving the game away, right? I mean, think of it as like a poker game, right? The movement has its strategy. We have our propaganda methods. We have our shifts, and we're moving in certain directions. So if you give the game away, the reason they're asking you what you're doing next is because they want to anticipate what you're going to do next. They want to have, when that thing came out with these journalists and NPI, and you guys were talking about anti-capitalism, guess what? Just a couple weeks later, they were having conferences at universities full of leftists talking about how to stop the alt-right from taking over the anti-globalization movement, how to stop the alt-right from monopolizing anti-capitalism, because you see it's going to catch up to the J-left that they stop talking about economic issues. They don't touch those anymore.
Yeah. Now
it's all about social issues. And, they have groups like Antifa that are more or less the army of political correctness. All right. Yeah. So this is something that they're gonna shapeshift according to our strategy. They are reactionaries. They react to us. So why would you tell them anything about what we're doing?
Yeah, I wouldn't. The issue there is though that we have to. And I agree with that, but and I certainly don't think you should sit down and interview with the journalists and just be like, here's the alt-right's upcoming strategy for the, or whatever. But we that was a conference, and I get your criticisms, like, why were these journalists even there? But we have to be able to talk amongst ourselves. And I do the Daily Shoah, and if I'm like, we're going to start to do a critique of capitalism, I've got to do that. I have to do it. I can't just not do it because they might hear it. And
Oh no, I agree.
You know what I
I
mean?
agree.
So like we had to like we had to put the word out like, okay, like the next move is like critiquing. We're going to do a critique of capitalism, and we've been sort of gradually transitioning into that mode. Like, you know, we've been talking about like corporate values, capitalist values, bourgeois values, and the Bugman is like his own form of bourgeoisie, right? The bourgeoisie, if you will. So I just coined that right now. We'll call it the bourgeoisie. That's what we're gonna call this. That's what we're gonna call this episode. But yeah, like the bourgeoisie, which is like that J left journalist, and they're not all Jews. A lot of them are Jews, but not all of them are Jews. Some of them are upper middle class shit libs. Yeah. And some of them are like frizzy haired mulatto chicks, and you know they've got their little interest group. And yeah, they're urban. They live in Williamsburg or equivalent neighborhoods, and they hang out at Union Pool or equivalent bars, you know, in different cities. And that's their little world, their little bourgeoisie world, where they have all the right values, the right things, and they're totally conformist, as you said. They're totally conformist with elite views, and on top of that, they consume all the entertainment products that they're supposed to. They are no longer in the mode of culture of critique. That's our role now. Our role is now look at the culture and we attack it. Their role is they put out their values in the culture. Like, I don't know if there's one moment from Star Wars that actually Alex completely missed, because he's still not quite in the culture of critique mode, because he still watches sci-fi on its own terms. I don't know what's wrong with him. But apparently there's this general, rebel general in the new movie who's a literally a purple-haired feminist. It's a woman, and she's literally got purple hair. And one of her final moves in like the final battle scene is she does a kamikaze run with her rebel battleship into the Empire's battleship, and the Empire's battleship has the word, it's a white ship, and it has the word supremacy on the side. Wow. It's the ship is named the Supremacy. And the purple-haired feminist SJW General Trick does a kamikaze run and destroys that ship with a kamikaze hit. And that's right. That's one of the big climactic moments of the movie. Alex completely missed it. I don't know how he missed it. He was asleep at the wheel, but that's fucking blatant as fuck, right? And that's been talked about. There's been buzz about that on Reddit and Twitter and stuff like that. Like, people have been discussing the fact that, like, wow, they really ham-fisted that when you're not even being subtle anymore. And that's the other thing, is that the creativity, the bourgeoisie doesn't even demand creativity. They just demand narrative. Like, you can't be subtle. Like, literally, the blue-haired feminist smashes white supremacy. Like, that's just so obvious, right? Like, there's no subtlety, there's no art to it, you know?
Right, and this lack of, I believe Angela Nagel was talking about this, that the left has lost some of its rigorous intellectuals. You know, if you actually think about it, you know, who is a left-wing thought leader nowadays, right? Maybe Slavoj Zizek, but they don't even like him anymore. So they're
he's
calling
a fascist. They're calling him a fascist,
right.
Which shows you how empty the accusation of fascist coming from them really is.
Sure. So, I mean, other than him, and maybe Noam Chomsky, who's like fucking, I mean, he's probably walking around with an oxygen tank. The guy's
I'm sure that guy's going to die any minute. He's going to fucking, yeah.
I mean, can you think of any rigorous left-wing intellectual?
Yeah, and Chomsky has, you know, he's a mixed bag. He's got his problems, but, you know, his critique of foreign policy has always been good, although he's tended to, I've got my disagreements with that. I don't want to go down into the weeds with Chomskyism, but like the worst part of Chomskyism is the complete inversion of the relationship between U.S. and Israel, which it seems to me that obviously him being a Jew, he still can't quite bring himself to, you know, tell you the truth on that one, you know.
Yeah, I noticed that with many radical leftist Jews, is that they will act like Israel is the colony of America. You know, that makes absolutely no sense. It
doesn't make any sense, and
if it wasn't for Israel, we wouldn't even be doing anything in the Middle East. It's not in our interest to be picking fights with Syria and Iran.
Yeah, and it doesn't predict it's not like if you run with that, you would not predict that the U.S. would make the moves that it does. Like the story doesn't fit. Like it doesn't work, and they the way they have to shoehorn it is amazing. And I've watched them go down like rabbit holes in order to maintain this framing of events in the Middle East. And of course, then we see like it's blatantly obvious that the people formulating U.S. foreign policy, writing the position papers, writing the policy papers, running the think tanks, these are Zionist Jews. Like, come on, dude, this shit is not hard.
One thing I will say though is that the Judeo left has more or less also given away the anti-imperialist angle. They've left it right on the table for us. You see this after the Soviet collapse. Say what you want, and we could talk about this a little bit because I know you called me out during the week about Hugo Chavez. And,
that's different, but that's
hold
on. Keep going with your thing. I don't want to go into. We're doing the bourgeoisie, but whatever.
Sure. But ever since say what you want about the Soviet Union, if you are a leftist, the Soviet Union, if you distance yourself from the Soviet Union because it lost the arms race. That's essentially what happened to the international left in the West, right? Most of the third world is still pro-Soviet Union, or they still believe it had good things and bad things. But the Western left totally threw the USSR under the bus after it collapsed. And what happened was that all these parties that were sort of Soviet sympathizing or periphery parties like the Labour Party in the United Kingdom, which was founded by Marxists, suddenly it became a neocon party. Tony Blair.
Yeah.
The Labour Party became a party of foreign interventionism and of privatization. And yet at the same time, they're the ones that push the hardest the identity politics, right? So this is the new postmodern left, which is pure identity politics, but center right on many foreign policy and economic issues, even because when the Zog was trying to overthrow Gaddafi,
they were nowhere to be seen. Yeah.
They were supporting the Libyan rebels.
Right? Well, certainly, yeah. I mean, they were either silent or supportive, and certainly this pivot seemed to happen. There was sort of a resurgence of the left under the Bush regime because the Bush regime was behaving the way that, like, you could credibly tell the story of evil Christian white imperialist men, right? Like, you could credibly tell that story. But it wasn't true because we all know that Bush was completely controlled by Jews, right? The administration was totally Jew-cooked top to bottom. But that was like there was this resurgence, at least in the anti-war left, and that led a lot of people to get into some of the economic left ideas, and there was this brief flowering of that stuff, but it kind of all died down. And then as soon as Obama won, because Obama satisfied a number of categories, he was nominally left, he was black, and he was Zog, right? I mean, the narrative that they managed to the lie that the Judeo right, the Pamela Gellers of the world, have managed to push on the conservatives of America that Obama was anti-Jewish and pro all these Muslims and pro these other people. Because I mean, the funny thing, the one good thing Obama ever did, which was like this rapprochement with Iran, was like the one thing that he was like he's supposedly the worst thing he ever did, according to the U.S. quote unquote right. It's all fucked up. This is the thing. It's all messed up. None of it makes sense, which is why
the when it comes to the Iran deal, really most of the Jews supported it. There was debate within the Jewish community because it was like all other forms of realpolitik. There's trade-offs, right? So America returned Iran's $150 billion in assets. This wasn't, unlike what Trump claims, this wasn't money that we gave them from the taxpayers' coffers. No, these were things that Iran owned that we just gave back, that we stole from them. All right, so we gave them back their assets in exchange for slowing down their nuclear program. But if Iran is able to cultivate its nuclear program, then that gives Israel's advantage. That totally gets neutralized because Israel has illegal nukes, and if Iran gets them, then that's totally neutralized. The Iran deal ultimately did benefit Israel and the Zionists. So The idea that this was some capitulation by Obama.
But they managed to sell that. But anyway, we're getting off track as usual. Right. We got to get back to the culture of the Bugman personality. But
just for the record, my brain's a little hazy because I had too much wild turkey last night. Okay. So that's part of the problem too.
Yeah, I see. So the thing, I think the key point we were touching on is the abandonment of anti-imperialism. Mm-hmm. And now the abandonment of leftist economics, and we're seeing either a indifference or a rooting for U.S. effectively imperialism, Zionist imperialism, or Jewish global machinations. And either on the left, I either don't want to talk about it, or they kind of like low key support it, or they vocally support it, depending on their role. And increasingly, what I see on the J left is when you bring these things up, this desire to just not talk about it, right? like a desire, like they don't want to talk about Israel. The idea that you're going to talk about Israel is just you're a priori crazy.
Well, hold on. Well, and when they do respond to the Israel bait, remember Lacey McCauley, right? I mean, we drove that bitch crazy.
Yeah, she couldn't. She had no answer. She had no answer for what we were saying. Yeah.
No, she had a fucking mental breakdown. Yeah. She was literally tearing her hair out, trying to convince us that Antifa opposes Zionism as much as they oppose so-called white supremacy. But when I asked her for proof, she was like, I don't have to prove anything.
She did the whole Google it yourself thing. Like literally, she did that bit. Like that's known. That's a universally in internet culture. The Google it yourself,
right,
is basically admitting defeat. Like in all internet debates for all of time,
right?
When you rely on Google it yourself, you are admitting defeat, and everybody sees it that way. And that was the thing. It's sort of like if you, and she posted some protests, some protests of some liberal, like Mondo Weiss tier Jews protesting Israel. And like, again, my thing with that is like, we're not talking about some liberal leftist Jews that feel, Israel is too discriminatory towards Palestinians. We're not talking about that. We're talking about masked Antifa going with intent to do physical harm to the people that are going to show up here. Like you're not doing that. And
going to the Anti-Defamation League conferences and shutting them down by force, like they do with our stuff, right?
Like they do with stuff that's all light tier, like they do to Milo Yiannopoulos, even. They legitimately did that to him. They burned down Berkeley.
Yeah, you never see them do that with the Zionist stuff. And of course there are people that support Israel. There was even Israeli soldiers on a college campus in California. I believe it was UCLA. They had IDF soldiers trying to intimidate the students that were doing boycott, divestment, sanctions protests. So this is happening on American college campuses in California, and there's no masked Antifa in sight. Yeah. So if you want to fight the fascists, why not? Why don't you ever fight the actual? Because you could say what you want about me, but I'm not sterilizing blacks. I'm not in a position to kill anyone. I'm not ethnically cleansing a race of people. Jews are, and you're not doing anything about it. And if you do something, it's always very symbolic and passive compared to the absolute ferocity and the bigotry and hate that you try and shut down even the tiniest ember of alt-right stuff. All right.
No, that's definitely true. And I've said this before, and we were saying this to Lacey McCauley. Like, Jews in the Middle East are literally removing a group of colored people off their land into enclaves, some refugee camps, which they call them refugee camps. You could call them concentration camps, or just into further and further little enclaves where they are. And there's open talk in Israel all the time. The far right parties in Israel openly talk about just transferring them all across the border into Jordan.
Well, how about
that's openly talked about? It's openly discussed, and she does nothing. about that. So she's against fascism. She's against racism. She's against abusing and torturing and discriminating against brown people. Well, the best example of that is Israel. White people aren't doing that. I mean, they should. Now, if we were to start doing it, certainly in Europe, the Europeans are absolutely justified if they wanted to start rounding up and removing Middle Easterners from Europe. Okay, because they don't belong there. And that's their homeland. Yeah. They have every right to do that. And it wouldn't be pretty. Right? It wouldn't be pretty, but it has to be done eventually.
Well, it wasn't pretty. I mean, just to use a comparison, what really makes that any different from Ho Chi Minh, right? Ho Chi Minh and the way he treated the French, which is he drove them out of Indochina. Yeah. Right?
And the other thing is,
why is he a leftist and I'm an extremist, a racist extremist?
Yeah, this is anti-colonialism, right? Like, we're just anti-colonial.
Anti-colonialism. When a group of Pakistanis moves into London, takes over a neighborhood, and makes it look like Pakistan, that is a form of colonialism, is it not?
Yeah, it is. It is. Because on top of that,
didn't ask for. No one in Britain. Immigration is unpopular universally. No one has ever supported mass immigration of very different people. So if you're going to complain of one side being colonialist, the only explanation these people have who defend this bullshit is that it's not that it's good, it's that you deserve it.
Well,
this is your punishment for history.
Yeah, they will very quickly revert to that if you start talking about this. If you start, because it goes. I mean, it says like Horace says, and like Bob Whitaker said before him, like the pattern is you deny, then you justify. So, like, first you say, no, that's not happening, you're crazy. And then you're like, well, here's what's happening. Here's the neighborhoods they've taken over. Here's the demographic trend, whatever. Like, yeah, but, white people have been bad in the past.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's literally how that argument goes. And we've seen this a million times. But I think, so sort of like the J left has seemed to have abandoned any principles in terms of anti-imperialism. And then what I was building to is that they are in the process now of moving from kind of leftish economic positions to libertarian economic positions. Like, the libertarian economic position is the ideal Bugman economic position, right? It's like perfectly suited to the Bugman, and it's not like old school libertarianism or libertarianism from like the late 90s and the early 2000s and even up through the early 10s, where that was a magnet for white dudes, because the reason it was a magnet for white dudes is because of what it told them was, all these people are rent seeking off of you. They're money grubbing off of you. They're exploiting you. You're the resource that they're exploiting, and this is your way out. Supporting this individualism, this anti-statism, this decentralization is your way out of being exploited by the brown people around you. And that's why it became very implicitly white. Or not, it became explicitly white.
When it comes to the bourgeoisie, though,
but when it comes to the bourgeoisie, it's just an excuse for corporate power, right? It's just an excuse for corporate tyranny.
Look at it this way, right? Libertarianism is the natural companion of moral or social libertarianism. If you believe that, the USSR would never agree to legalize pot, or fucking agree to legalize homosexuality. This is something that goes along with a loose moral system, goes along with a looser economic system, and we see this with the bourgeoisie. They don't like to pay taxes, which is fine. No one does. And there's a whole argument about income versus capital tax, or whatever. But let's, for the sake of being succinct, let's just assume that paying taxes is sort of necessary for a functioning society, right? Well, the bourgeoisie doesn't like to pay taxes because he doesn't have kids. He's not invested in his surroundings. Yeah. He has money and a sandbox full of toys. He likes toys. He likes shiny things. Yeah. And he sees you, and he doesn't have a family. So because they're so disinvested and atomized, it makes no sense to put money in the plate for health insurance, or put money in the plate for a collective infrastructure system, or anything, subsidized public transportation. This makes no sense at all. He would rather carry his own, he's a single man. He's got no pressures, no family. He doesn't really need to worry about health insurance because he's young. He doesn't really need to worry about affordable housing because he doesn't have kids. So this is the reality of the bourgeoisie, why this the androgynous transracial or raceless future man will not be a Bernie socialist. He will be a sort of C4SS, the guys that you used to know, right? That's the ultimate conclusion of where this political trajectory is going.
Left libertarianism, as they call it, or like market leftism or something like that. Like it's this, yeah, and it's this odd, and it's basically, it doesn't really, and in terms intellectually, there's very few people that actually support it. Like for the most part, you get the urbanite bourgeoisie are still Democrats, but the Democrats aren't really, if you're not a man making a middle class salary with a family to feed, the Democrat economic policy is not hitting you too hard, right? Like Democrat economic policies don't hit the urbanite bourgeoisie very, very hard. So he can afford, they can afford to still be that. But as I said, like increasingly they are moving from, there was the Bernie left phenomena, but I think the Bernie left was the sort of the newer nascent white nationalism, just like libertarianism before it. Now the Bernie left became sort of this nascent white nationalist. Now, whether or not these guys can get their shit together, I mean, I know it's happening. But I only know anecdotally a few people here and there. But it's still like the tendency was to happen, and then you see how the true J left was Hillary supporters, and they went to war against the Bernie supporters, and they went to war against them because they were too white. And they were too supremacists, and they would say things to them like, "You have this," because a lot of things that motivated the Bernie people was environmentalism, and they'd say that's a privileged position. You care about the environment because you're white privileged, because you can experience the environment, and a lot of that was true. Like they weren't necessarily wrong about the fact that a lot of these people were coming out of well-to-do socioeconomic backgrounds, and that led them to the ability to interact with nature a lot and to have this appreciation for nature. But that's not like a legitimate attack on the position. Right. So it's like,
I mean, I think the Hillary campaign is a perfect example of where we're heading in terms of politics with the J left, because if
Hillary's not unfriendly to business. The myth that Hillary's unfriendly to business is insane.
No one believes that.
Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. So
is that the coalition that propped Hillary up is an unthinking one. Because if it wasn't for the fact that blacks and browns could vote, Bernie would have won.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he probably would have even won the election.
Maybe.
All right?
Maybe. I'm skeptical, but yeah.
I don't know. But, they would have had they would have definitely won the Democratic primaries. Right?
Yeah.
There's no question about that if only whites could vote. And that is the ironic catch-22, is that the ethical left, the left of ideas, of philosophy, of idealism, this is dying out because of the fact that America is becoming less white. So this is sort of a challenge to them. This is actually they're having an existential problem, which is why a lot of these organizations have dropped a lot of the idealistic economic stuff and taken up the like you say, the coalition of the fringes, and they're just dealing with that, and it's really just basically a political philosophy based around hurting white people, even if it's supporting a corporation hurting white workers, or a corporation, the coal miners in West Virginia, right? I mean, what leftist could actually hate the coal miners of West Virginia and say that they're privileged oppressors of people of color, right? So this is the new philosophy. It's a philosophy of brown and black people that feel hurting white people is their reason they get up in the morning. All right.
Yeah, and the the bug people will be spokesmen for that, or they won't fight it. I mean, it's a funny little thing because it is odd because you do see, when I say increasingly like the libertarian aspect economically comes out, I mean that really was evident in not that Hillary was any kind of a libertarian, but certainly she was. It's not even so much like free enterprise as it is like corporate stuff. Like Hillary was the corporate candidate, and this was an effective attack that we made during the election. We were like the rebuttal was just that Trump is rich. It's like we all know that Trump is rich, but his platform is not the neoliberal platform. Hillary is the neoliberal platform, and neoliberal is basically the libertarian economic platform. Hillary was the one that said, I dream of a hemispheric open market with open borders. She said that. Yeah. That's what she said to Goldman Sachs. That's what Goldman Sachs wants to hear. That's, funny enough, also what Antifa fights for. This is the bourgeoisie. And there's a lot of bourgeoisie that are not willing to be in Antifa because there's some physical risk there. But they're certainly moral. They're certainly moral supporters. They certainly will write positive things about them in BuzzFeed.
Every check mark on Twitter was rooting when Spencer got punched.
Yeah,
every one of them.
Yeah, so you have to understand that we're not necessarily talking like there's a lot of different things that go on, and there's vestiges of the old left. It comes through with Bernie, and there's a certain amount of elitism there too. There's the Green movement. There's a certain amount of elitism in the Green movement, but these are sort of vestiges of an older white kind of political dichotomy that was going on, and we're now in this new thing where we have this new urban journalist, leftist identity politics. And kind of like libertarianish economically class, right? Like they certainly would never go full, Ron Paul, but because Ron Paul is just a cover for racism, which was actually turned out to be true. But
that it is true what they say about that stuff, that libertarianism was just a way to be racist and politically correct. That was true.
It was literally true, and the alt-right is the proof of that because, and ultimately when like most people in that movement decided, fuck. And the thing was, what happened to the libertarians is that it became populated by two kind of people, and in a way, the left actually helped along the alt-right here, because it became populated by two kind of people. It was white men who said, like, enough of this. I don't want to be exploited anymore by this brown underclass. I feel like I'm being exploited by these people. They might not have had all the narratives down about the JQ and why that was going on or whatever, but fundamentally that was their impetus, was like, I don't want to be exploited. I want to, I'm earning money and I'm earning a living, and this brown underclass is like consistently nipping at my heels trying to take my shit. So there was that. And then there's the people that go into it because of, as you said, the socially permissive aspect of it. The fact that it feeds a libertine society. So then you get trannies, you get hookers, you get girls that just fuck a lot. You get like girls like Kathy Reasonwitz, who talks about her pussy all the time. Like you get that. And then what happens is all the white dudes that came in like the late 90s and the 2000s, and who are like nascent racist. Like emerging racist, emerging white nationalists are like, no, we're not going to do that. And at a time when the state is enforcing, the state and the elite are enforcing pause, libertarianism becomes a refuge for traditional values. Because people are like, hey, if we can get the government off our back, we can go back to a traditional families and religion and stuff like that. Of course, then you have to grapple internally in the libertarian movement with all the feminists and shit that are coming in, and that was the thing that like broke that movement, and all the white men came rushing to the alt-right.
Right. Obviously, the libertarian stuff was a cope, right? But the problem with that cope is it's a cope by design, in the sense that by identifying as a hyper individual, you are powerless.
Yeah,
no man is his own island. All right. Yeah. So if there's this whole thing in the libertarian movement, you have like the cult of self improvement, which is good. It's always good to improve yourself. However, when it turns into a sort of narcissism and tryhardism that is common in the United States, then Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know as well as I do, Mike, that people like this stuff goes together, like the pickup artists and the gold bugs. There is a thread there. There's a big red thread that goes through all of this and connects them. And that red thread is these people are hustlers and scammers, but also they sell an idea. They sell the world to you, and they give you the shortcut. That's what the business model is. So, you can get rich quick, you can get pussy quick, easy. And what I would posit is that maybe not everything can be fixed with self-improvement, all right? Maybe there are problems that require a collective effort.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Like if there's a problem, if you have a problem getting dates, right? The pickup artist will tell you, well, put on this big purple fuzzy fedora and go to the gym 5 times a week and do this and that and this and that. And you'll get your results. But the problem is, like, what's that do for society, right? I mean, how are we going to have monogamous relationships if we don't have a society that gives positive incentives to women to engage in them, right? In fact, all the incentives are negative. They're encouraged not to. So some of these things require collective solutions, and those are the ones that Jews fear. Because if you're an individual, you can go move out into the sticks somewhere, and if you're just doing your own thing, they don't give a fuck, right? But if you're integrated in society and rocking the boat and getting other like-minded people to put your efforts together like a fist, right? Well, they don't like that because that threatens their actual power.
Right, exactly. And it's no surprise that the Cernoviches of the world are just selling you, hey, look at me, I'm Mike Cernovich. I did everything. And of course, it's all a lie. Like, his life is fucking a fraud. Like, the dude is like, he's a divorcee living on alimony that like raped somebody and bargained the plea down or something. I don't know what it is. There's a whole bunch of, but whatever. But he's selling the whole like easy money, easy pussy. Aaron Clary, this guy, Aaron Clary, Captain Capitalism, he called himself, was the enjoy the decline guy. He's like, here's how like everything's going to shit. Here's how you can just get money and pussy and toys as it happens, Right. And so it's like, and that's like not, that's always been a thing, even when TRS was like kind of stupid and saying stupid shit in its early days, like we were always a reaction against that stuff. Like that was like specifically what early TRS was built around rejecting that attitude. And we went through a lot of weird phases early on.
And that is the Bugman in a nutshell. The Bugman knows that what he's doing is morally wrong, but he is so black-pilled and so weak as a man and so weak in his will that he prefers, knowing that what he's doing is incorrect and wrong, he's smart enough to know that, it will still engage in the behavior that he knows is wrong. Because, like that mentality says, enjoy the decline, right?
Yeah.
And I see the idea, the appeal, and of course, you can't live in a barrel like a hermit, totally alienated and isolated from society. You have to participate on some level, and there is stuff to do and fun to be had. But if you get lost in that world, no one was ever made happy by the car they drive or the shiny toys they collect, right? Yeah. Or the plastic junk they accumulate on Christmas. No one was ever made happy by that. You're made happy by things you can't buy, like love or friendship or things like that. Experience.
Or there's a fleeting happiness that's associated with those things. And what the Bugman does is the Bugman is also a peak consumer because the Bugman buys the stuff that he's supposed to buy. He consumes. He'll see Star Wars. He'll probably be a Star Wars fan. I mean, we should now talk about the types of people, how increasingly what society is turning out, these stunted men. Like when my father was 40, he would never have dreamed of being a big fan of a sci-fi franchise as like a defining feature of his life. You know what I mean? He had 2 children. He was on his second wife. He had 2 children. He was, right. You know what I mean? Like he had all this shit. He had a house and all, and that was the norm.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not the norm anymore. Now, today, the norm for a 40-year-old man is to be, a Star Wars fan with lots of action figures. I mean, it's true. I don't know if that's the norm, but there's certainly a class of people that are like that. And maybe he's got a girlfriend, maybe he doesn't. He probably doesn't have any kids. He's definitely got a Star Wars action figure collection. He's got a lot of video games. He's got a big console, a big gaming console someplace in his house. He's probably got a room in his apartment or his house that's dedicated to all of his hobbies. That's very well organized and very much, his place where he goes all the time.
You know what it is too. The Sheldon Cooper phenomenon, right?
Yes.
With the Big Bang. I mean, what the thing is too is that in our economy now, because here's the thing, right? The reason the nerd is now the cool in guy is because nerds have money now.
Yeah.
With the shift in the economy away from physical labor to computer IT work.
Yep. I was going to say I was actually going to say this earlier in the show. They even developed an industry that's perfect for them and rewards them.
Well, no, not just that. This is the main driver of the economy. This is where they make all their money. So here's the thing. When that happens, the advertisers make Sheldon Cooper cool. They go from, the kid that gets the wedgies to the cool guy that everyone wants to be like. And get to the point where you even got like famous, good-looking people, that are dressing like nerds, that look like nerds, that are taking up the bohemian nerd lifestyle. So now that it's the IT guys that have the disposable income, everything in pop culture is tailored to them. Yeah, because they got the money, they buy bullshit. So that's the big thing. That's a big motivator, I think.
Yeah, and then what happens is then you get narratives increasingly of the guy who was the Chad, if you will, the popular guy who was the Chad, like never reliving, never being a failure later on in life, and never getting to get back to that moment when he was like the popular Chad in high school, and like the nerd was like the nerd. And this is a very Jew Gentile thing too. Like, there's that. But the funniest thing about Big Bang Theory and Sheldon Cooper and that thing is that the Big Bang Theory was a story about geeks. And supposedly they were all like neuroscientists or astrophysicists or whatever the fuck their jobs were they were like scientists, right? But they never really, and they would talk about like pop science shit, like Stephen Hawking or the Higgs boson thing, the the Large Hadron Collider, like shit that's in the news that people that like follow like the science news will like know about and think that they're smart, and like Neil deGrasse Tyson and wormholes and just like pop sciencey shit that also comes up when you watch science fiction TV shows. You learn about this stuff, but they were really just consumers. Like the people would always have logos, and they'd be going to the store, they'd be buying products, they'd be discussing pop culture, they'd be talking about movies, they'd be talking about sci-fi, they'd be talking about video games, talking about comic books, so they're always talking about the things that they consume, and the plot lines revolve more around the things that they were consuming than like their life as scientists. And so it's like, and then what they do is they make you feel like you, the average mediocre conformist, you're supposed to love science. You love science, but you don't really know anything about science. You just know I love it because Neil deGrasse Tyson and wormholes or whatever. And there's nothing really wrong with that. Like when the U.S. was in a better place, like Carl Sagan was really popular. Like the public sat down and they watched a show where they were educated on some science basics. And there's nothing wrong with that. That would be great in like a normal, healthy society, right? But like, this has become like this weird religion, and then they use it to, it's just used to sell products. It's used to push, movies, the latest movies and the latest, and like literally all they did in the Big Bang Theory was they talk about Game of Thrones, they talk about Star Wars, they talk about Marvel Comics, they talk about video games. You know what I mean? Like that, they're just all this Jewish shit just piled upon itself. I mean,
it's very paradoxical because it's like a show about nothing. Mm-hmm. And the people watching it are doing the exact same thing as the people in the show. It's the same uneventful life.
Yeah. They're literally sitting around their apartment consuming like shitty pop culture.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like those GIFs where like they zoom into the TV and then it turns into another one and another one and another. Like it's sort of like that. Like it's like the bug paradox with this shit. And it's like this guy. All his show is about, from the few episodes I've seen, is like the guy's like he's like obsessed with Spider-Man and Stan Lee and Leonard Nimoy and All the he loves. I think was it Magic the Gathering or
something like that. Yeah.
Some the tabletop games and stuff. This is a man in his 30s.
Yeah, and the thing is that stuff is like marketed to those people now. That's the market. Like you don't like the tabletop.
Just look at like the superhero movies. I mean, you just look at the old Batman versus the new one, right? The Tim Burton Batman, he was goofy, and the characters were colorful and eccentric. It was for kids, right?
Yeah.
Then you look at the new Batman. He's got this like his mask is like really pointy and like aggressive and like the whole Batman thing. The Gotham City is very dark and like he's Batman and he's got pathos and he's like a deep tortured soul.
Yeah, well, I remember they were doing that to Batman. I remember like when the Batman movie, the first one with Michael Keaton came out. I was in middle school.
Same, yeah. I was young.
Yeah, you were definitely younger. You're definitely younger.
I was younger than you, but whatever.
Yeah, but I was in middle school when that came out, and then when the new Batman with Christian Bale came out, it was like appealing to literally the same exact people.
Yeah,
like just like 15, 20 years later, they're
like, crazy thing. I mean that goes to show just how our culture has been retarded over the last couple of decades, more than the usual.
What's funny is when I was a kid, and I love comics when I was a kid. I mean, this isn't a mystery. I've talked about it before. I love comic books. I was into Marvel Comics a lot when I was a kid. When I was like 8, 10, 12, and I loved it. And if there had been like the abundance of these movies when I was a kid, they were like talking about maybe doing a Marvel Comics movie, and I was like, please do it, because I wanted to see it. And they did like a shitty Punisher movie with Dolph Lundgren, and did an absolutely abominable Captain America movie that like they didn't even put out on VHS. Like you guys get bootleg terrible copies of it. It was just fucking wretched, just terrible, because they weren't licensing this shit. And I would have like loved it, but then little did I know that when I hit 30, like the whole fucking world would be like exploding with like multi-$100 million productions of these same characters that I liked when I was like 10.
Yeah.
And it's just insane. And it's like, why?
And they'd be written for adults. Like they'd be written for
that was already happening. That was already happening when I was a kid and reading comics when I was like in middle school.
Yeah.
I would go to the comic book store because it had already become. Even then, it was like you don't get it at the newsstand. Like when I was real little, I would get them at like the 5 and dime store. But once it became a couple years later, they didn't sell them at the 5 and dime. You had to go to the actual novelty comic book shop, and that place was. Then they started raising the prices. They became more expensive, and then they started shifting the plot lines. And they were like, "Oh, it's not for kids. It's like an adult hobby now." And and that's increasingly been the case. And the thing was that like the nerd was always associated with one of the things that was about like nerd versus jock culture, to put it in the most simplistic terms, was that the nerd culture was always based around consumption. It was always based around buying products, buying into a genre, buying into a franchise, whether it's comics or Star Wars. And it's like, sure, like everyone liked the Star Wars movies when they were a kid, whatever, that's fine. But then it's like the nerd had every toy. He had the Millennium Falcon, which was like this. Now, if you have like an original Millennium Falcon from when it first came out in the 80s, that's like a gold mine. That's like worth more than a Bitcoin now. You know what I mean? If you still have it like in the box, which like nobody has it. But like
the jock, on the other hand, his power is from his achievement.
Right. And also he
from
doesn't
playing
need
sports and getting girls. I mean,
he goes out.
Non-economic values. That's why he's pathologized.
Yeah.
Is because of his non-economic achievements.
Because the physicality of it, like you as the jock go out with a football, all you need is the ball and a field, and you play football, right? And I know football is another Bugman thing, but that's the spectator football. I'm talking about when you're in high school. What do you do on a Saturday? Do you go throw the football around and sit around in the park with your friends, or do you stay home and play video games?
Right.
Do you watch one of these movies? Do you go to the comic book store? You know what I mean? It's like, what are you doing? Are you consuming high dollar
games?
Yeah, like high price. Like all the thing that unites all these nerd subcultures is the high price of entry.
Yeah.
And so you want to play tabletop games. Those are expensive.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
there are Magic the Gathering cards. Like, if you want to play the card game, those things can cost hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. And then the gaming, like the gaming PC, is thousands of dollars to get one that has the chip that runs fast enough to run the games at the highest graphics level. You got to get a big monitor, 4K monitor. You want the graphics at the highest speed, etc. And I get some of that computer autism. Like I get like. It's okay on some level, but when this is like your life, it's like different. And I remember when I was in high school, social interaction was more interesting to me than going into my pretend universe. You know, like I had all my comics, and I could have like gone back into that universe of when I was 12 and read all the Wolverine issues or whatever, right? But I wanted pussy, and I wanted to go party with my friends. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like that's the social bonds. And so it's like, yeah, they're taking away, they're giving you, and the fantasy universes that they create, they have beautiful women, they have adventure, they have, you can live vicariously through these universes.
Yeah.
And that used to be a thing that in the 80s, you knew that somebody that was doing that was like a fat loser that was like sitting in his basement, you know, eating like an Italian sub and hadn't showered in 3 days and was just absorbing all this fantasy stuff to like, but now that's just the norm. That's what's expected. They made that the thing that everybody does. Right.
Now that's the cool person doing that. I mean, the thing with what you were saying before, I definitely agree with you. And there is a sort of, I would say, the escapism is interesting because you can the contrast between the jock and the nerd is that both of them seek to realize their will to power. The jock does it through physicality, through real life, and through risk. He risks himself.
That's a fucking pussy, bro.
Yeah, exactly. He takes risks, and of course, you know, in the movies you also see the jock. He's rapey, right? He's aggressive with women. He gets slapped by the woman when he pushes too far. It's the nerd, on the other hand, he wants the same things, but he achieves his will to power through consumerism, through video games and anime girlfriends, and you know. But he achieves. He's looking for the same thing. He's just not willing to take risks. He lacks that kind of masculinity. He's very docile, in other words. All he does is guarantee he pays money, he gets his cyber experience, and then the problem is that when you get old and you're like that, what kind of memories are you gonna have, right? Well, you're gonna talk about that summer that you spent inside playing StarCraft, right? I mean, is that what life's all about? No,
yeah, I don't know. And then these games, a lot of the games particularly, but a lot of this kind of entertainment, it's eye catching. Like you see the poster for the latest superhero movie and it catches your eye, and you're like, "Whoa!" Like it's very colorful, it's bright, it pleases your senses. You know what I mean? Like despite yourself, you're attracted to it. Like you know, we all know like that's Bugman shit, so we just laugh at it. But like when you think about the primal human mechanisms at work here, when you play video games, and like I play a few games occasionally when I'm bored, but whatever. I actually haven't since I've gotten the fuck out of New York City. That's an interesting thing, but
that is interesting.
But when you do that, like the colors, the achievement, like it gives you this immediate feedback that's satisfying. It feels good, right? You having it's like a good graphical experience, and you beat levels and you win, and you feel a sense of achievement. Yeah, but it's temporary. It doesn't last. What are you going to do? But you kind of know you go back out in the real world. What are you going to tell? Like, beat like every level this weekend. Like it's
is that something impressive?
You know, but you know, if you went out had a good time with your friends, you'll happy be like, yo, we fucking killed it Saturday. We were fucking raging. It was hilarious. You know, and I'm not to like glorify. You know, granted. You know, we've had our nights where we go out. but that's still more fun to talk about. Or like, yeah, dude, I kissed this girl or I fucked this girl. You know, whatever. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like these are real achievements or real experiences you had with other people.
it's sort of like collecting all the whatever in a video game, the collection oriented ones where you collect.
Yeah.
And what I mean, that's really what is so different from that than collecting panties from different women, right? That you're
yeah.
Except that one is something you brag about and sound cool, and the other one is something that you should be embarrassed about.
Yeah, well, what it is that it's not even the going out and getting drunk and partying or the getting pussy or whatever. I mean, that's certainly not a thing that I could, without being a complete hypocrite, say that it's like...
I agree. I'm half joking, and I'm also still a little drunk, actually.
That's fine. But what I'm saying is, like, we've gone out and we've partied together and we've had great times, and we always talk about it later on, and we talk about it the next day, and we tell people, we're like, oh, we fucking killed it the other night. We were, because it's not embarrassing to say I went out and I experienced stuff with my comrades. Like,
right.
We went out and we fucking tore the town up. You know what I mean? It was fucking great. We had a great time. We had a blast. Whatever.
You compare that to the younger kids nowadays. How do they bond? They play a computer game together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, I collected all the tokens in the newest Sonic this weekend.
Oh, we did the mission in Grand Theft Auto. I mean, they have this. I'm sure the new Grand Theft Auto is on the internet, right? Mm. So like the Grand Theft Auto 5, and it's like this whole fake world where you buy a house. Are
you fucking kidding me?
No, yeah, like it's called GTA Online. Most people listening to
it's just now it's one of those multiplayer massive universes or whatever.
Yeah, and you go there with your friends, and it's a pretty addictive world because guess what? You get to do everything that you would do in real life with your friends, except way more intense, way more crazy, and no consequences. So like, it's an appealing alternative reality.
So you can go and just like shoot up a bunch of like black drug dealers.
Do you have it? Let's go play.
No, I don't. I don't have it. I actually don't have. I don't even have my. I'll be honest. The PC I do have that has games. And look, as we critique this stuff, it's not that I have it. Like, part of the reason we know the psychology of this because I've to some extent participated in this stuff. It's not that it's like no one's fully escaped this. Like, we're analyzing the Bugman personality. We're not like exempting ourselves from it. But
hey, there is something to say. Like, I remember when I played Grand Theft Auto 4 for Xbox, and I was driving real fast down the street in the fake New York City. Suddenly, I see a Hasid.
Just take that motherfucker out. Yeah.
I freaking slam the brakes. Then I pull out my Uzi and just gun him down, and then I pull out the baseball bat and start beating him with it.
Yeah, like you could. Then
I got in the car, and then I ran him over with the car.
Do we have like does the GTA universe have like authentic like Hasidic neighborhoods so you can just go like?
Dude, they had that in GTA 4. I'm not sure about the fifth one, but like, dude, you should see some of this stuff, man. These video games, they're blurring the line between reality and
I know that the GTA games are basically like open world urban environments that you could just do like whatever. Yeah, and there's a certain appeal to that, but that's like, think about the reason that's appealing. Like, why is that appealing? It's because we live in.
It's because when you walk down the street, you want to do certain things, like go on shooting sprees, but you'd rather do it vicariously because it's obvious.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you have those thoughts and urges, but of course, your moral sensibilities as well as your self-preservation instincts kick in, so you don't do it. But yeah, I mean, you can totally just vicariously just massacre all the people in real life that just fucking you can't stand, because you're walking around every day dealing with people you fucking can't stand to be around, particularly in cities. But I saw one where they had put in they had added a mod to GTA after the Orlando massacre. They had added a mod that was like a gay pride parade.
Nice.
And I was like, well, why are they doing that? People are just going to go and fucking kill that thing. Like, people are going to go mow it down and like machine gun it, like chain gun it and shit. And of course they said, like, if you add this mod where you get the gay pride parade in your GTA game, you can't kill it. It's like invulnerable. Because what would happen next, right? What happens next is someone adds the mod, then YouTube videos are springing up of people just mowing it down. But of course, anything in the game can be modded, anything can be hacked. So I'm sure that there's videos out there of somebody adding the gay pride mod and then adding the you can kill the gay pride mod and then videoing it and putting it up there. So yeah, that happens. And the thing is that, like, it's not so much somebody that does this stuff occasionally for laughs, whatever. I don't even have a problem with that. But the idea is the lifestyle, right? The bug lifestyle is the one that is so cancerous. It's the life of the consumer, the life of the geek, the life of the pop, and much of the pop culture stuff that these people consume is really shit tier. Like, you ever go to like one of those geek pages on Facebook and look through the memes, and it's just cringe. It's like all like Star Wars and Harry Potter, and a lot of it's geared towards women, because this is the other thing is that there was a time when these subcultures were like
uniquely male,
were like male spaces, and they were places. And then you see, like, and I remember, Ryan Falk has done some videos on this where he's talking about there was a new Sonic game that comes out, right? And the Sonic game was completely developed. Now, I can't even imagine the levels of autism involved here. But the Sonic game, they finally come out with a new 2D Sonic game. So it's just a plane. It's not like a 3D world where he's running around in. And it's like classic Sonic, and it was fan developed, and it was like reminiscent back to the early days when the fans loved the old Sonic games from when they were kids or whatever. Right. And he's saying it's not like the newer Sonic games where they're all 3D and it's running around or whatever. But then he compares it to like Mass Effect. Like, there's this new Mass Effect game that comes out, and that game is like it's total like lesbian, multiracial, race mixing pause shit. Like, there's like alien lesbians like eating each other out in the game. It's like terrible SJW feminist bullshit. And it was so bad, and it was like so bad that it was a meme, and now like nobody plays it anymore.
Yeah, I remember Mass Effect used to be a big deal. This was a very popular series, and then they started going off the deep end.
Yeah, and then he was talking about...
I think there's like a frog, right? Am I thinking of the same? There's like you could fuck the frog. It's like a giant frog.
You probably could. I've never played that game, so I don't know. But his point was that like the games that used to come out back in the day were like the product of... men sitting in a room together and like coming up with a cool game. And now
games used to be really hard.
And now they're like the product of like these corporate boards with like feminists sitting on the board, like, and like telling them like you need to insert like social justice narratives into the game and shit. And they've done that, and they did this with this new Wolfenstein game.
Oh, where it's I've written extensively about that.
It's like
the game bombed, by the way.
Yeah, of course it bombed. Nobody wanted to play it. Nobody wanted to play it. Like, it was not.
They had some nerve. They were openly alluding to the assault on Richard Spencer to sell the game.
The game was literally marketed. They were using Richard getting punched to market their game. He should sue them or something.
I told him.
Yeah, I've said the same thing to him. Like, you should sue these people. Like, they're
literally using threats to your life and your physical safety to sell a video game.
Yeah.
And of course, I exposed the fact that the owner of Bethesda and the company that developed the game is a Jew, of course. Yeah. And you better believe that this is all on purpose, that he knew he would lose money. I mean, the Wolfenstein license is a big deal. For you to lose money on this Wolfenstein license, you have to go out of your way to fuck that up, because it's the most popular series probably in video game history.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is that despite the Bugman, there's the bug, but I still see, like, the bug people uncritically consume Wolfenstein, right?
Sure.
There's still consumers out there, still people out there that, like, they see what's going on with Wolfenstein, and they're like, yeah, obviously this punch Nazis thing is like a thinly veiled, anti-white attack.
Well,
right?
no, not just that. I mean, it goes deeper than that. There's a scene in the game where you're sneaking up on two German guards, and they're talking amongst themselves, and they're saying, "You know, Hans, all we want is to support free speech." And the other guy says, "Yes, Hans. Why don't they respect our free speech rights?" And then right there, that's like your cue to execute them, because that's obviously a metaphor for us.
Yeah, no, the whole game is basically SJWs kill alt-right.
And of course,
Antifa
the
kills.
good
It's
guy,
like Antifa,
the
the
protagonist, is a Jew,
Yeah.
and there's a scene in the game, in the beginning of the game, where he's a little kid, and his southern, I think he's supposed to be a southerner or a German or something. His father is beating his Jewish mother, and I think he's even saying anti-Semitic things while doing it, and the whole thing is very, very anti-white. And consumers, because you see, games like Wolfenstein, people of color don't want to play them either because they don't really get it. Like they don't
know what's going on.
They want to play games with like Mario and like fast cars and shit. And like they
don't want to play games that they don't. The same way they don't get. They uncritically consume movies and TV. And all that stuff too. They uncritically consume that stuff, but they won't. And then they'll watch it, but they won't see the narratives embedded in it. Like they would watch the new Star Wars, and they just would like it because spaceships and explosions and stuff. They won't
like
see
the
that
action scenes and stuff.
Yeah, they won't see like the embedded narratives that we see, and that are meant.
They're
meant for white people, right?
Yeah.
But with the game, it's different because you got to like interact with it. In a movie, it's just there, it's playing, it's like whatever.
Sure.
But the game, you got to interact with it. So they're putting in, and it's not the first game. I mean, I've seen like this is partly, I guess, what spurred on some level the whole Gamergate thing. Although I think that was some specific circumstances revolving
the other
one
the other time this happened was Mafia 3. You remember that game?
Yeah.
With the protagonist is a black guy in Louisiana. I have no idea what that has to do with Mafia, the first two, and of course, this character in the game. This is a video game where your black character cannot kill other black people. He can only kill white people.
Wait, what?
You heard me right, friend.
I never heard about this.
Yeah, he doesn't kill black people. He can only kill whites. Of course, there are scenes where you kill black people, but I'm pretty sure in the the game launches cutscenes where you spare black people and you execute white people, and you don't even have a choice over it. So about that. This was a video game that bombed, tanked, and it had one of the most high advertising and marketing budgets I think in recent history. It was like totally they were peddling this like crazy, and it turns out that it barely sold. It was a failure, and of course the Jew media was actually promoting it like a big success because they shipped a lot of copies to stores. But just because you ship copies doesn't mean people buy them, right? So these things are basically now they're in the bargin bin.
Well, that's what that's
same
sort of
thing
what
Wolfenstein.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I mean, there's no buzz about this Wolfenstein game, and it's actually relatively recent, like within the last couple of months.
Came out 2 months ago.
Yeah,
it was a top seller for like in the top 10, I think, on sales, and then like a week later it was already below the top 10.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not, and there's no buzz about it. That's the other thing. Like no one's talking about it.
No, the media is still buzzing about it. They're
of course,
calling it's the game of the year. Because another thing I've noticed. I don't know if you've noticed this. I mean, I haven't been following video game shit in like almost probably a decade and a half. But I remember when I was younger, I would go on GameSpot.com, and it would just be about like video games and the news coming out about them and stuff like. And the guys doing the reviews, they would be like just regular nerds, right? But now, like the people doing these reviews on websites like Kotaku,
they're bourgeoisie.
These people are like rabid leftists.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly where I was moving.
Never really had any politics at all.
But this is what I mean. We're like doing Gamergate like 5 years later now. But like this is what the Gamergate thing came out of. Now there was the whole fiasco with this thought that's like fucking dudes and for good reviews or something like that. That wasn't really the underlying issue. The underlying issue was not anything to do with Zoe Quinn and who she was fucking. Right. Which that was sort of like an example. Like they wanted it to be that the issue was that Zoe Quinn was fucking dudes for good reviews and nobody would talk about that. The issue was that the fucking game journalism industry had been taken over by Bugmen. It had been taken over by the Bugwazi, and the J left, and the J left had taken over. And it's the Gamergaters never got clear on this, which is why they never formed a coherent narrative. And of course, the fact that Milo tied his wagon to that. I always get this metaphor. It doesn't matter. The fact that Milo like latched onto that, and that was what made Milo as a personality. That's when he came out as a personality. Was Gamergate, if you remember, and he was the Breitbart tech editor, and he was talking about Gamergate. He did all the Milo we think of today. When you think of Milo 5 years ago, you're thinking like, oh yeah, he had like brown hair. He didn't have like the blonde dyed thing. He presented differently. He didn't wear like these flamboyant clothes. Like he presented differently, and he was doing the thing, going after the SJWs in gaming journalism. But like, there was still obfuscated what was going on. It wasn't that Zoe Quinn fucked some dudes and got good reviews. It was that the gaming journalism, the people that tell you what games are coming out, what games to buy, are J leftists. They're Bugwazi. Yeah. They're fucking, they're these people, and they're telling you, buy the anti-white games. They are going to promote the Wolfenstein. They're going to promote Mafia 3. They're going to promote Assassin's Creed, the one where you join with Karl Marx to like kill. There's literally what? You didn't know this? There was an Assassin's Creed where you go back in time and Karl Marx like gives you missions. Yeah.
Wait, hold on a second, dude. I gotta take a piss. I'll be back in like 1 second.
Okay. Right? All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah. So, I didn't know that about Assassin's Creed.
But I mean...
That game...
Wait, sorry. You broke up. Say that again.
Some of the politics in the video games now, like I haven't played video games in a while, but I've noticed that it's really in your face. Yeah. And I think it was because before this was sort of like a blind spot, and they noticed that a lot of young white men, instead of being a part of society, they break away into this world of fantasy and illusion, and they have to get the narrative into their heads in some way, because they realize that wherever two young male white goyim can talk to one another without
unsupervised,
without a Jew
there to moderate it, exactly.
Monitor, that they will organize or become conscious of themselves, and this can turn into a political threat.
No, this is like literally
as Gamergate was. That sort of is what happened.
Yeah, and they even talk about the alt-right coming out of Gamergate, and I think that's somewhat of what it was. And what it was is that Gamergate was a thing they had to get out in front of. Now, we're doing the culture of critique here, and we're doing the critique of the Bugman and the Bugwazi and the consumer mindset, the mindset of constantly buying products to keep yourself satiated, keep your mind occupied because you're not engaging with the real world. If some people like playing video games occasionally, whatever, but like ultimately we all know that the guy that stays indoors all day playing video games all the time is a loser. Like, everybody gets that, even if that's you. And if that's you, and I know there's guys that have been that and have changed for the better and become part of the alt-right, and like, just they never would have thought a year later, after joining the alt-right, they never would have thought that they had left their console alone for like, or their PC alone for like months at a time because they were so engaged in this community. Similarly, people that have been football fans, big sports fans, fantasy fans, watching every game, haven't cared about sports in 3 years since they joined this movement. So there's that. Yeah. So don't feel bad or that we're attacking you if you enjoy playing video games occasionally. Like, I don't have a problem with that. And we all know that the issues in the video game industry are like a great entry point for the culture of critique, for the Bugman personality. Because the Gamergate was driven by the fan base not necessarily being in touch with it's sort of a metaphor, greater metaphor for society. The game journalists are giving you the narrative, the elite narrative. They're the J left, and they're giving you the elite narrative, and that was sort of the real subtext of Gamergate. And of course, you get Jews or purported Jews like Milo Yiannopoulos, who comes in as the guy who's like, "Hey, I'll lead the right wing side of this. I'll lead the white men, and we're going to be mad at Zoe Quinn."
Yeah, we're not going to advocate for classical liberalism as a response.
We're going to the response is classical liberalism. The person we attack is Zoe Quinn. Now, I'm sure Zoe Quinn is an awful thought. I'm sure she's just a total piece of shit. But that's a trivial fact. Sure. Right? Zoe Quinn is a piece of shit. Okay.
Yeah, the way the Gamergate Jews were scapegoating her or making it about her is very similar to how conservatives or Jew Republican thought leaders make it all about Hillary and Obama.
Or George Soros or whatever.
Or Soros, right. I mean, it's the same stupid
Not that any of those people are good people, but they're focusing to distract you from the wider issue. Yeah, so the wider issue
problem. Right.
Yeah, the wider issue is that the people that are the people that are telling you in the media about games, that you go to learn about games, to get news about games, get reviews of games, these are all J leftists that are giving you a political narrative. They're not talking about games. And then the companies are giving you political narrative through the games. And they think after Gamergate, you'll notice what happened is there was a shift. And that's when the Karl Marx Assassin's Creed comes out. That's when the killing white people mafia comes out. That's when the killing Nazis Wolfenstein comes out. So they're now literally giving you narratives, and they're increasingly creating games where like you don't have the option to be the Nazis. Because it used to be you'd play a World War II strategy game or something like that, and you could be the Nazis. Like you could choose to be Axis. You play Axis and Allies. You can be Axis. You can try to win. They don't give you that option anymore. No, you have to only beat them. There's this game.
That's what I heard about the new Battlefield 19. Or they're coming out with a World War II Battlefield.
Yeah. And they're putting like black people. It's all black soldiers.
No. Okay. This new one is going to censor all the German stuff. Like it's like right out the box. They're going to censor all the German symbols and whatnot in the game. And yeah, you're right. They used to make it so that, and usually, of course, whenever you play these games, you'll notice that, of course, the Germans are the most popular faction. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like
it's like
a game I used to play was Civilization. Now that was sort of a different kind of game. It's like RTS game, not RTS.
I remember
it's turn-based.
That's a big brain game.
It's a very big brain nibba game, but it's like a turn-based strategy where you want to like take over the map and build cities and all that shit, right? But you have like a faction leader, and the faction leader is typically a historical world leader. And you could be Germany, but you couldn't be Hitler. You could be Kaiser Frederick or something like that. Like they go back in time to get like a German, and even that is like a little bit too much, right? like even that's a little bit too much for the Jews. So they have to go back to get one that like wasn't offensive, or you'd be George Washington, or you'd be Winston Churchill, or you could be all these or Margaret Thatcher or some shit like that. All these politically correct people. But then the games would have like modding workshops, and lo and behold, what was the first mod that always comes out? What's the first mod that always comes? Always okay. Be Hitler. Like literally, it's always the first one. It's always, and there's always like 3 or 4 different ones, and then they ban them on Steam. They like ban them from the mod, the mod workshop on Steam. You know, if there's Nazi ones, and then what would happen is people would release them as part of like people would sneak them and could be like, I'm doing a historical leaders pack. And in this historical leaders pack is Hitler.
Yeah,
and like that's why you download it. You know,
too, like the guys that play these games, they love the. They really get into it. Like when you play Red Orchestra, right, and you play as the Germans. Like the guys, they're like literally LARPing as Germans, and they have no issue with that. Like they have no moral scruples about the fact that
they don't feel bad at all. They get a kick out of it. They get a kick out of it. They
laugh their asses off. They're like, "Hey, Jew, get out of my way! Hey, we're gonna gas
I've
you."
Literally witnessed this myself, and this is why Gamergate was actually a bigger phenomenon than even Gamergate realized, and that's why now we are seeing the game industry becoming pause, and the people that promote the games have to be left, and the companies put out narrative and
Gamergate.
Yeah, no,
it's gotten way worse.
I literally just said that 5 minutes ago, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, no, and so what they've realized is they have to take control of this. And I know that when you have these open world games, like there's open world games where you form like little army squads. I don't know any particular one. Form like little army squads, and you got to go fight against other little squads or whatever. And sometimes dudes in the alt-right jump on these together, like late at night. I've never done it because I really suck at like first person type game. I'm better at strategy shit. Whatever. I'm just a big brain. I'm just a big brain nigga.
Yeah.
I can't. The first person shooter games always just die right away. So anyway, alt-right guys jump on as a squadron late at night. People are shit posting on a call together, drinking and hanging out, saying nigger and kike and shit. Yeah. And so they jump on and they go out as a squad. They just start going like fucking people up. And people would be like, they'd find like squads, and they'd be like, okay, one survivor, like you can join our team, but like, are you white? And they're like, I'm white. And then like, if there's like, no, it's like, all right, you're dead. Like, like doing shit like that. And they know that kind of stuff is happening. Like they know that that's happening, and they freak out. That's why they're constantly trying to inject women, constantly trying to inject not just women, but like blue-haired feminists. Yeah. They're constantly trying to push narratives through this stuff. And the Bugman personality is the one that uncritically accepts it because it's the thing that comes down, and you see it. If you think you don't see it, go look at the YouTube gaming community, and you'll always have these YouTube Let's Play gamers that are willing to do like Let's Plays of these games. And they play through the game, and you're supposed to. It's like a preview of like the play and whatever. And they can show you like the tricks and shit. And they'll play every single one of the latest games, and all the big promoted by YouTube Let's Players play the new Wolfenstein. They don't get very many views because no one gives a shit. But they're doing that, so they're like constantly promoting this, and so there's like the Bugman culture. It's not just, there's the aspect of the escapism, because you can't bear the outside world because there's no social cohesion because of all the ethnic diversity. That's going on. But then even the escapism, you can't really escape to your white place, which is what people were doing.
Right.
And then they now have to even intervene in that. And so it's like, and the Bugman, the true Bugman, is the one that uncritically, I hate Nazis too. I love Star Wars. Finn's a great character. I love the character development of Finn in Star Wars. Oh, I want to go. I can't wait to go punch a Nazi in Wolfenstein. It's going to be great. Like, and there are people like that. I see them. I see them online. I see them on Twitter. I see them on Facebook. There are bug people that are like that.
Right. So I think a good way to summarize the Bugwazi, the Bugman personality, is that it's an inversion of the old celebration of the outsider and the misfit. This new personality type is a celebration of the conformist.
A celebration of the conformist consumer.
The politically correct. Yeah.
The politically correct, uncritical, conformist consumer. And even,
a lot of this is a reaction, for example, the phenomenon of Antifa, right? I mean, actual liberals real life liberals, I mean, they're basically a dying breed, just like conservatives, because all these alt-right people, they got a kick out of trolling the liberals, right? Like, you would go on Twitter 2 years ago and trigger them, and they would freak out, and they'd
freak
cry,
the fuck out,
and they would get mad at you, and it would all be impotent. But now the Jews see how that worked, and now they're making these people rabid. They're making them violent. So
now,
and
on top of that, they want to make it. They're doing everything they can to remove anonymity from the internet.
Yeah,
and they want to do that because, and now the new sort of Bugman liberal consensus internet morality. Like, if you remember 20 years ago, maybe you probably don't because you're a little baby, but no, 20 years ago on the internet, and even 15 or 10 years ago, although it started to change, anonymity was the norm. Like, when you went to get a new account, you didn't sign up as, I didn't sign up as Mike Painovich. Right. I signed up as, whatever the fuck handle I was using at the time. Whatever my nickname was, whatever handle I had. I've had a few. It doesn't matter. Like, Mike Enoch or whatever, but that's just a new one. But I've had other ones. It doesn't matter. You would never think to enter real information. It wouldn't even occur to you. Because the internet's an anonymous place. It's a place where you go in as something else. And now what they want to do is, because we took advantage of the internet, we've used it. We've created, people have actually used the internet to get messages out through pseudonyms, through proxies, through different identities, etc. There's this crackdown and this idea that, like, you have to, and Facebook was kind of the start of this. You have to be on the internet. You have to put everything out there, and the Bugman doesn't care. Because he's not going against the grain in any way. Everything he thinks is absolutely safe. He's going to go on Twitter and he's going to comment on how he loved Finn in the new Star Wars, and by golly, he wants to punch a Nazi in the new Wolfenstein. And, like, if you think those people don't exist because it's just so corny and so fucking played out, you're wrong. They're out there, but we have to do...
They're ascending right now.
Yeah. And they're
ascending to power.
Yeah. And they see that they will get rewards for their conformity. Now, if you had told me, even when I was a libertarian and I was all about, like, capitalism and free will and individualism and let people do what they want, people can buy what they want, people can sell what they want, whatever, corporations can do what they want, blah, blah, blah. If you had said, the upshot of that is going to be people are going to become politically correct, conformist, corporatist consumers, I would have been like, gas those people. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been my reaction. Because the only need for this kind of politically correct corporate consumerist culture is in a culture where they need to keep you distracted because they don't want political resistance because your people are dying and you're not supposed to notice. Mm-hmm. And they ultimately, this is the vision of the world. It's the vision for the world. The vision for the world is, a worldwide market of people that are deracinated, conformist corporate consumers.
Yeah.
Like, that's the ultimate goal. And now that's bad for everybody. That's why I'm saying I'm happy to have some non-whites that, granted, the alt-right's a white-only thing. Our groups, our private meetings and stuff, that's for white people only. But we're willing to have friends and allies in the outside world that aren't white, that agree with us on these issues. Because that would be absurd. It would be absurd not to have. It would be absurd. It would be autistically fucking weird not to have that, right? Sure, like, we're white, so our groups are for whites. That's fine. But if I'm not going to not be friends with a guy that's like a mestizo, that's 75% that has the same views, because that's fucking retarded. That's like where you're taking the race thing and making it into an ideology where it didn't have
that's
to be.
Making it into a self-esteem club where you're doing the racist version of virtue signaling.
Yeah. I'm not saying like we start opening up everything to like mestizos. No, that would be bad because generally speaking, they're not on our side. But like, our groups are white only. I don't care. They get to have their mestizos only club, but they have just as much to lose from becoming from the world becoming this as we do is the point,
Yeah.
Although, to some extent, these people, the lower tier, third worldist people, are like used against whites because whites are the main bulwark against this kind of thing. But like that's, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, I do favor, despite people say it's really gay or whatever, or they want to go full exto and all that fucking dumb shit that doesn't advance anybody's cause.
No.
I do favor, that yeah, like every man to his own nation, Like,
well, when you push the exo stuff, that's not to be against that is not cucking, because guess what? The people that are most offended by that are other whites. They're the ones that
it's literally if you want to make yourself complete pariah, that's what you do.
Yeah, I mean, people have to learn how to talk about things, right? When I hear someone, maybe a more autistic type of more analytical mind, right, talking about eugenics, okay, I understand what they're saying, and they make some good points, and there are eugenic things that need to happen, but here's the thing. If you don't talk about it in the right way, if you have a low EQ, emotional quotient, you sound like a ghoul, all right?
Yeah.
If you're going to talk about eugenic stuff and all you do is talk about it impersonally with lots of pie charts and statistics and this and that and how it's going to benefit
not
people,
the good way to go about it.
You just sound like a sociopath. You sound like a weirdo, all right, to most people, to most white people. So you got to learn how to express yourself in a way that doesn't make you sound like some kind of cold-hearted, weird, scientific, guy, some Dr. Kevorkian guy.
Yeah.
All right, you don't want to be Dr. Kevorkian is not the example to follow.
No. You want to, if you want to push that stuff, you want to do it in a way that appeals to certain. Because, like, let's be honest, like, on some level, like, the idea of eugenics at one point was really popular, particularly during the progressive era in the United States, like, around the turn of the around the turn of the 20th century. This was a popular idea. And it was based on compassion. It wasn't based on, like, hating. It was based on, like, okay, what we want to do is reduce the people in the world. These are people that are incapable of caring for children. So we're not going to burden them with that,
right?
Like that's how it was taught. That's literally that's like how Margaret Sanger talked about it. Like we're going to release them from that burden. Like they're not capable, and we're just going to release them from that burden of having to care for the children, because the children aren't going to come to any good. And this now even that kind of talk today sounds a little bit weird because we've been so conditioned that weak is better, right? Back then they still had they were still working with an old world moral paradigm where strength was considered better than weakness. That's not the case anymore. Our morals have been thoroughly subverted to the point where even what I just said is a little bit weird to people. However, you can still work it. In some ways, you can appeal to autism, but you have to be smart about it. Sort of like, people make choices about how they reproduce all the time. Wouldn't it be better that those choices were in line with the general good rather than just individualistic and atomistic and hedonistic?
Right.
You know what I mean? Things like that. Those are the kind of appeals I think you can make. But and I do favor eugenics in that I think that incentives should be structured for good family formation. I'm not trying to breed like a race of Aryan supermen. But what I'm saying is that like low key I am, but
some of these types, like the Charles Murray types, that believe that people with say alcoholics in their family shouldn't breed, or that people that make a certain amount of money less than a certain tax bracket should be sterilized. That kind of thinking is it just sounds cruel to people, and it sort of is. It's sort of
I mean, the main issue is that what you want to do is just incentivize pro-social people. Productive people.
On the other hand, if there's two dwarves and they want to reproduce and have dwarf children, I think they should be paid not to.
I think the state can intervene there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I think that with things that are preventable like that. Like, to prevent needless suffering is one thing. Now, if you believe that, hey, anyone that has a little bit of mental illness or something, they should just be put to sleep. Well, yeah, no one's going to
get on board with that, dude.
No one's going to agree.
No one's going to get on board with that. However, people will. The funny thing is that low key, we have this issue where these Christians in Ohio managed to the only case in which they outlawed abortion was if the fetus has Down syndrome.
Yeah,
and like Down syndrome, low key in the United States since the 1980s has plummeted.
Yeah.
Why? Because if mothers found out the fetus had Down syndrome, they had
low key,
they had an abortion.
That's how Iceland got. Iceland has literally 0 people with Down syndrome being born every year.
I know, and I remember the J left actually like caught on to this and started writing articles about it. So it's like the J left will turn against abortion if they think that it's actually being used in a pro-social way. Like when it's antisocial, they're happy to promote it, right? It's antisocial when what it does is when it reduces the costs. It reduces the costs of it creates consequence-free, essentially, or the idea of consequence-free sex in the minds of these middle-class white women and Jewish women. And typically you'll notice that what happens is you get blacks end up having a ton of abortions. And that's sort of like this odd, whether, that was sort of the original intent of it, but then that opens the door for these, like, liberals want to kill all blacks because they're pro-abortion. Like, that's that conservative DR3 narrative. But really, those liberal white women and Jewish women, they're motivated by the ability to just go out and get dicked down as many times as they want without worrying about getting pregnant.
Every single feminist issue revolves around women having casual sex. I mean, enabling females casual. I mean, you'd think because they present feminism as this sophisticated philosophy about female empowerment, but really, it all goes back down to my vagina.
Yeah, and actually,
birth control pills to free birth control pills to
and wanting other people to pay for it too.
Yeah, it's basically all about that to no fault.
And they call it women's health. The funniest shit, they call it women's health. It's not women's health.
No. That's like saying men want, like, I don't know, like something, they want
free fleshlights.
Yeah. They want free porn, right?
Yeah, we want free porn or free prostitutes or something. We want free Filipino girls to come by and suck us off. Like, yeah.
I mean, it's the same. It's like saying that is a political issue. Yeah. But when it comes to actual things that are uniquely female, like motherhood, like things like that, the feminists are nowhere in sight.
No, right? They don't care about that. They're against it. They actively subvert it. They want to use politics to force a place in the workplace for women so that they don't go and do that.
Yeah.
Because it's all about getting dick down. And there's actually a funny little narrative that Ryan Falk came up with. I'm not sure if I'm convinced, but it made my eyebrow raise, which is that, like, when abortion always starts getting more popular with whites in environments where white women are, like, more likely to be raped by blacks. That, like, in a way, it's almost like a hedge against getting raped by blacks, or potentially a woman having sex with the black. So, like and you could even
not rape, but
maybe they want that, like, experiment. They want that adventure of, like, because they've heard about the Mandingo cock or whatever, like the Jews that put this out there and, like, oh, we want to adventure, but we don't want the kid.
Right. Well, so, I mean, if you sometimes the only way they can sell Negroes as attractive to women is by making up this story about their alleged penis size.
And it's always it's not true. If it's true, it's true, like, marginally, right? Like, I don't know. So I've heard different stories.
Well, I'll tell you what. When it comes to that, the only places where Negroes have are recorded as having much larger penises is when they do the study with self-reporting.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Measure it the differences are marginal.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's a negligible difference, and of course,
when it comes to human genitalia, most human beings they sort of evolved parallelly with this. So like the sizes are actually roughly the same worldwide for most men. So like yeah, there is a few differences in here. There maybe the Asians have the smallest, and there's some.
Actually, the Bindis have the smallest.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and it's actually not true that it's the same worldwide, but that's this. We're now getting into some autistic shit. But like,
yeah, but
whites are.
That doesn't make a difference. In practical sense.
Statistically, that's a large difference, though. And whites are like up there as like on
the larger side. On
the larger side, yeah. And that indicates certain certain things about white sexuality. But whatever. That's like a different topic. But the point being that the idea of the black and the big black cock is a very Jewish thing, and it's something that's introduced, and it's also used as an attack on white men. And so now we're expected to believe, this is another part of our culture, our little culture of critique. A typical J left narrative on white men is you're worried about, you're insecure because you have a tiny little white penis, and those big black bucks have these raging huge horse cocks, and they're gonna fuck the shit out of your women. Like they hit that, and it's true. Like
well, that's because they believe it.
But it's also true that, like, sure, it's a thing. Like, I get disgusted by the idea of a black man fucking a white woman. I find that idea just inherently repulsive. Now, you can analyze me. You can analyze me. You can say that's because you're insecure, because you're worried like that black cock is going to come and please your girl in a way you care, some other Freudian shit, right? But the fact is, I just find it fucking repulsive. And that's actually a psychologically normal thing. Because historically, globally, culturally, that's been the normal opinion.
Yeah.
Right? And why do they put in the pornography, why do they put the race mixing shit in your face?
Well, it's a gaslight.
It's literally to attack you. It's they're making that attack, and then they're rubbing your face in the fact that you're bothered by it.
Yeah, I've written extensively about the pornography, especially the interracial pornography, and I think everyone has seen that article. It has like a million. I'm talking about like millions of people have read this article about the interracial porn, and I think this was one of the early red pills in the alt-right. Came out like 2014, 15, and the fact of the matter is that interracial pornography is not even profitable in the niche market sense.
Yep.
Porn about shit porn, fecal porn is more of a niche and profitable market than interracial porn, which often will ruin the careers of famous porn stars that engage in it, which is why they charge a lot more for interracial scenes, or they only do them when they're old and their market value's down anyway.
Yeah, and the Jews obviously want to push those for a reason.
The exception is blacked. I mean, the 4chan people post those fucking disgusting things everywhere. The women from there are normal looking and even attractive, and that is totally subsidized by the Jew Cable Rosenberg from Dog Fart Productions. And this Jew makes all his money from real estate, and subsidize.
Sorry, you broke up a little bit. Repeat. You broke up a little bit. Real estate production and what?
Yeah, Cable Rosenberg does black.com and makes most of his money from real estate speculation. Mm-hmm. So that's what
he was doing a thing where, in the wake of Donald Trump's election, he was going to do like a special black, like Southern Bells thing or something like that, where he was going to heal racism in the worst states in the U.S. with racism by bringing like big black mandingo bucks down to fuck these Southern Bells. Like, he literally had this thing. He was going to like cure racism through like interracial porn.
Well, when you see something like a pornographic movie where the women are wearing the Dirndl, right, the German folk costume, or the women are supposed to be Southern belles and they have a thick Southern accent, or what do you think that is? All right, that's a political message that they're sending you.
Yep.
That is
Absolutely.
them. That is them shitting on something that you might hold dearly or valuable.
Or even if you don't, because you're not necessarily that kind of white person, they're sending the message like this is the kind of person in society that you're allowed to attack. This is the object of hate. And, to bring it back around, we were talking about Wolfenstein. There's a scene in Wolfenstein, and I remember this because I was watching some of the trailers for it.
The fat woman in the dirndl.
There is literally a woman in a dirndl getting fucked by a Negro.
Oh. I mean, what do you think that is?
And it's in the Punch a Nazi game. There's a scene where the sassy black Afro ghetto chick who hates Nazis and the Jew come upon a scene of a chubby German girl getting banged out by a Negro while wearing a dirndl. Can you get more Jewish? Can you get more fucking Jewish? Can you get more subversive? Can you think of something that's more of an attack on traditional white European culture that is specifically meant to humiliate? Absolutely just humiliate and rub your face in it. And the Bugman, the bourgeoisie, sits there and consumes this uncritically. Okay, that is the key factor in the Bugman personality is the uncritical consumption of obviously political,
Jewish propaganda,
subversive Jewish shit in his pop culture, because he's so addicted to pop culture he can't face real life. He's so addicted to his shiny toys. He's so addicted to his colorful superheroes. He's so addicted to every single kind of escapist fantasy that he's surrounded himself with, that when the Jews start putting into all that escapist fantasy that they've been building up over the last several decades, all these beloved franchises, all these wonderful heroes, all these wonderful universes that you can enter and play around and have adventures in, and you're still doing it when you're a 30-year-old man or a 40-year-old man, and then the Jew starts putting in Negroes fucking white chicks in dirndls and every other pause narrative, and you just go along with it. You just go along with it.
How numb do you have to be to see something like that and not react?
Yeah. Not react in some way. Not at least see that it's political.
No, something. A sense of rage. The Bugman sits there. He watches and just blinks.
He laughs along with it.
He thinks it's funny.
He laughs along with it, although it's an empty, fake kind of laugh. He laughs because he's that's the reaction you're supposed to have. Ha ha ha! That black guy sure showed those Germans. That was great.
I mean, because that stuff should really trigger something in you. Once a man loses jealousy over his women,
which is why they want to psychopathologize that, and they want to make that the sign of strength is the man that gladly gets cucked. The cuckold.
Well, actually, I have some real red pills about that. It's a shame.
We're coming up on 2 hours.
I'm starting to. I've been feeling kind of sick through the whole day, so I'm a little slow today. But I will say this: that shit. I don't know if people heard about this polyamory. Okay. Well, that's 3% of the population is in a polyamorous relationship. That's more than homosexuals. Yeah. Right? This is a growing movement. You think that the cuck stuff is just a joke or it's just a niche thing? No, this shit is taking off.
And a lot of that is because, we all know what's going on in a lot of that polyamory.
Yeah, it's the problem with first of all, it's the dating culture.
And it's men that refuse to say no.
Yeah.
It's men that refuse to say no.
Assert themselves over women.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They refuse to say to their woman, no, you're mine.
And part
and if you don't want to be mine, then you can go. And there's that confidence.
Part of that is not their fault, because, of course, no fault divorce. If a woman, it can be hard to keep a woman monogamous in this modern world with Tinder and online dating and all that shit. But these guys, instead of fighting that, they've given up.
Yeah, and I know it can be hard, but I also think now. Oh man, see, I'm like a fool. I'm like a foolish liberal on some of these issues. I do think that there are good women out there, and I think there's women out there that aren't actually bad people and aren't like relentless thoughts and whores and want to like just fuck around on you and stab you in the back.
Except
and
the cuck.
Yeah, I know. You know, it's because you know it is because I'm an Xer. It's because I've had this before where I'm like, no, there's good women, guys, and they're like, you're an Xer, and I'm like, okay.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how. There are women in their later 30s and 40s that are good, but at least they seem like they're decent chicks. But under 30, like most women are real like shit. Like that's my opinion, though.
Yeah,
women
need to be
from my bad decisions with women.
As we know, well, you're also in a certain area, but you know, as we know, women are the ultimate social conformists. So the Bugman is very feminine, really. Also, that's the other aspect of it. He's effeminate. He's testosterone. He's low testosterone. He's high estrogen. He's high soy. He's the soy man, the Bugman, the soy boy, the low T, high E.
He hides it. He hides it with a beard and a lumberjack shirt.
Yeah. But he
lumbersexuals.
Shave that beard, and that guy looks like a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah,
because like really, it is this low T, this bug thing, and that's gonna be the one that's gonna be okay. It's okay if you fuck somebody else, honey. And
at the same time, women are encouraged to be more high T. Like, look at the female MMA fighters, for example, right?
Yeah, but also just women with a higher. I mean, if you give women testosterone, their sex drive goes up. Like they want to fuck more.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah,
and they become more promiscuous too.
Yeah,
because that's just how it works.
Well, testosterone leads to sexual aggression. It leads to testosterone leads you to pursue sex. So if you give a woman testosterone, she's going to pursue sex. So,
yeah, and here's the thing too. Notice how a lot of things that are encouraged for women are encouraged to have them with higher testosterone, like women going. There's a very strong gym culture with women that is arguably stronger with women than men, at least in the upper classes.
Yeah, and it's all about increasing their T levels. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow. The red pills really never stop.
No, but think about it this way, right? Most urban upper class women are fanatics about the gym.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, the men in their class, the male versions of people in their class are not.
Yeah.
In fact, they don't go. Usually, the men that go to the gym are more working class or middle class. But rarely do you see a Vice Media male journalist lifting more than 100 pounds in the overhead press.
No. You'll never see that, but you will see the women going and working out at the gym.
Women do. Yeah, and you got to ask yourself why. Right?
Well, I mean, if they're increasing their T levels, inadvertently, they might not know what they're doing to their body chemistry, but they are increasing them, and their sex drive is going to be increasing. That Bugman is not going to do it for them,
right? Yeah, and I mean, it's a little bit of of course, we're speculating here, and we're throwing shit up against.
Yeah, we're like throwing shit against the wall and seeing if it sticks. And what else? The other thing with that is that those women are going to be into. They're not going to
they're into like S&M.
Yeah, they're going to be into like getting choked out.
And I'm not talking about striking Mike either. Well, maybe I am.
Well, yeah. Well, they're going to be into they are going to be into the striking Mike. But I can just tell you that those type of women. This isn't even a real secret that they like a little bit of they like being overpowered. They want to fight you almost like it's a fight. You know what I mean? I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Anyway,
women that are more promiscuous. Are sexually liberated tend to the worst rape fantasies. That's been
absolutely, and they like the physical. They like the you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, just say it, man. I
they
know
want
exactly
they want you to rape them.
Yeah,
they want the experience in bed to be you fight them down and fuck them.
Yeah, that's why when
they fight back against you, and they want you to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think of it this way, right?
And look, they're not going and complaining about rape afterwards. That's what I'm saying. This is not the issue of like, oh, the rape thing. No. The rape thing happens if they accidentally fuck a low T beta boy. Like the actual Chad that fights them down into the bed and like fucks the shit out of them as they're fighting back and like loving every second of it. That guy doesn't get accused of rape.
Oh, hell no. No. I will say this though. I mean, think about it this way. Other than the purple hair, what else is a dead giveaway that a woman is some kind of SJW cunt? Well, it's the collar, right? The choker.
Yeah.
And that's like a BDSM thing, right? So, like, women that wear chokers, it's like, I think someone else pointed this out. Women that wear chokers, they want to have, those are like leashes. Those are dog collars. They want you to put a leash on them.
Yeah, it's a definite signal that they want to be.
Those are the women that have the worst politics. Like, those are the ones that are the most fanatical and rabid anti-white social justice warriors.
Sometimes.
Chokers. Not all the time.
Not all the time. Sometimes you get them being like, sometimes you see them going to the right, but whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, the same can be true for women with cotton candy colored hair, right? Not all of them have those politics, but most or many do. The ones that do, right? And so, this is the thing. Like, all this shit is so weird and contradictory, and yet in practice, it's so perfect how it works out.
Yeah, it's actually quite amazing how it works out.
Which is
sometimes quite dumbfounded.
Why we speculate about it being a conspiracy. I'm not saying I don't have proof that it's a conspiracy. I do have proof that the polyamory thing is a conspiracy because all the people promoting this shit are fucking Jews. Like, I
think that the when there's literally like when you see articles consistently in J-Left websites about like the new trend. Yeah, and I remember a couple years ago it was ass eating. I'm sorry to bring it up, but you know what I mean. Like there was like BuzzFeed videos, and they have this chick going around, and she's like interviewing faggots about it, and then she's interviewing like heterosexual people that are trying it, and she's saying it's all the rage in the new porn videos, and like everybody's doing it, and here's tips on how to do it safely and stuff. And I remember there was like this 5-minute BuzzFeed video on like ass eating, and at the same time in other J-Left publications we were tracking, like within that same few month period, there's all this stuff about eating ass. And we collected this. We actually did this in that Facebook group, and we tracked this trend and like collected a bunch of stuff in a number of these different J-Left publications. It was all about it, and they were also talking about how this was something that had become very prevalent in porn. And I remember there was one guy in the group who was like Hateful Heretic, our pal Hateful Heretic, who's since he's retired, he's decided to go and be with his family rather than risk his livelihood by being an alt-right personality. But and that's fine, and everybody wishes him well. But he was like, we need to get this in front of like Midwestern Christians. He's like, we need to get this material in front of them like now, and we need to tell them that it's Jews that's doing this. Yeah. And I was like, hey man, we're trying to do that. He's like, they don't have any idea that this is going on. He's like, they have no idea because they would never have thought of it.
It's easy to perceive the problem or put some, in the Christian sense, you put it some supernatural explanation for it.
Oh, it's just the devil. It's just temptation. It's the devil.
Or even worse, the generalistic explanation of, oh, look, society's going down the tubes. Oh, look at how people are. People are getting worse because there's no more prayer in school and this and that. When in truth, and you actually dig into these problems, you actually trace them back to a small group of Jews going out of their way to get this into your house, get this on your TV, to get this on your 10-year-old child's computer.
And
it's been
video
proven that for example, the practice of anal sex was very rare amongst heterosexuals until about the late 80s. Now, basically every woman has done it at least once, which is disgusting to me, by the way. I find anyone who would agree to either give or take with that stuff disgusting. All right? Very gross. And risky
to your health.
Yeah, I mean that's where every STD is like 10 times higher.
You're much more likely to get an STD that way, yeah, and particularly for the receiver. But it's a thing that is put out there. I mean, and there's no question that the increase in the viewership of pornography is why. Yeah, this increase in anal sex is going on,
and it's not just a slight increase,
and it's not
a monumental. It was an extreme. It exploded as soon as anal sex scenes in pornography started to increase. Yeah. Then the practice itself started to increase in society.
Yeah, right? And on top of that, then now it's like it's not even just through porn. Porn now, as part of the Bugman personality, the Bugman culture critique, porn is just a part of the Bugman's consumption routine.
Yeah.
Porn is talked about. Porn used to be a thing in the 80s. If you got a hold of a porno mag and you kept it under your mattress, you jacked off to it a couple times and then got rid of it so your dad didn't find it. Or maybe you got a VHS tape and you'd pop it in if your parents weren't home and you'd whack off or something like that, right? And it was real taboo and you didn't want to get caught. Right?
Yeah.
You didn't want to get caught. Now everybody's the porn is readily and freely available
on your cell phone,
on your phone, on the internet, on anything, and it's expected that you consume it. And it's expected that you consume it, and you talk about it. You develop preferences about it. And that is part of your Bugman consumption routine. So you're watching the Star Wars, you're playing the video game, then you whip out the fleshlight, you watch some porn, you pop one off, you go back to the Star Wars. It's the routine.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do anything. And all your senses are fed, all your neurons fire in the right way, and you think you're doing all the good things because you're happy, you're pleased, but then at the end of the day you have nothing. There's no other people in your life.
That's why Bugmen were so up in arms about the net neutrality.
Yes,
appeal.
Exactly.
Because I'll tell you this, they're afraid that they're going to be trying to punch the speed bag to some Pornhub, and their company is the internet ISP provider is going to be charging them for like longer HD videos. That's what they're afraid of. It's not about political speech.
It's so funny that was their issue, because I remember I even said on Twitter, like I put out a tweet on that, and I said, like, anybody that thinks that the flow of porn is going to be interrupted is stupid. I was like, porn is such a great tool for maintaining a docile population, that the Israelis literally pumped free porn into the Palestinian territories because they knew it was going to make the Palestinians more compliant.
Right.
Make them less willing to go fight.
That was E. Michael Jones's thing.
Yeah. Like literally,
he studied porn and how
they sent porn into, and they still do send porn into, the West Bank. And Gaza, they deliberately give it to them free because they know it's gonna neuter their ability to fight back. And I made a tweet.
Why do you think they get so angry at the Russians for banning? They have Pornhub is blocked in Russia.
Yeah. Oh, no, they're outraged about it. They're
outraged by it, but also the Russians themselves know that this is a psyop. The Pornhub stuff is like to influence their people.
Yeah.
Right. It's supposed to influence your people to be less. I'm going to sit here and tell you right straight up that they have science on this stuff, on what porn does. They have science that is never going to be made public, at least not until we make it public, that shows the what porn does to the male mind.
Well, there has been actually. That there has been some of that has been studied and published, and there's the Your Brain on Porn website, which has documented some of this. So it is out there. You can get that information, but it's just like a lot of things that Jews want to hide. They don't necessarily hide it. They just don't ever talk about it, and nobody ever talks about it. And anybody there are some small movements of, like, there's the people that sell the shirts that say porn kills love, etc., like that. Like, there's that stuff, but it's all very low key.
Hate that.
They hate it. They hate that stuff.
And you know what they really hate about it is that the porn stuff isn't like Christian fundamentalists It's like regular guys that are figuring out what's going on.
Yeah.
And that scares, because when Christian fundamentalists take up a cause, they sort of alienate everyone.
They can make it seem like goofy and weird, right? Exactly.
Right, but when normal people start taking it up, then they get angry about it, and they're like, they don't know how to.
And it's also another one of those things. It's another one of those things where Jews are literally behind porn. Okay, like they're literally, like they're. It's one of those things where you look at the people that do porn, and it's all Jews, right? Like everybody, there might be like one or two. I don't even know if there's even that. Like even if I was going to say there's even like the few Naxalts here and there, I don't even know if there's that. But like, okay, Larry Flint, other than that, I don't know. And of course, he's the one that ends up, being the face of it, of course, right? And there's no way that whatever Jew is doing it would ever become the face of it. But
without the Jews, Larry Flint would be probably either in prison or working an honest job. He would have never become famous.
Yeah, exactly. So
for everything from the lawyers to the people in the media that were supporting him during the trial,
people that were on the board of his company and all that shit, of course. But so they sense in the anti-porn, like they sense like a nascent anti-Semitism in it. Like they literally could see anti-porn becoming anti-Jew. Because it's so heavily associated. And even in like the normie mind, they know that Jews run porn.
Of course.
They know that Jews run Hollywood.
Yeah.
They know that Jews run the media. Like these are known things. You're just not supposed to say them. And what happens is if we get pissed off about these things, if we get pissed off at the media, like everybody knows the Jews run the media. There's people that will be like, oh, that's an anti-Semitic trope. That's an anti-Semitic trope. Those are Jews freaking out at the fact that somebody said it. You can find videos of this online. But like everyone kind of knows it, right? So when the media becomes like when Donald Trump body slams the CNN thing, in some YouTube video, the Jews are seeing this as like, whoa, this is going to mean you know what I mean? Like that's how this works. Like that's how they see it. They're like, because you saw how they freaked out. You saw how CNN freaked out at that. Like it was an innocent gif of Trump like body slamming a CNN logo. Like,
well,
ordinarily, who gives a fuck?
They freak out at Trump attacking the media in general.
Yeah,
and they see it, and they see it as veiled anti-Semitism.
Well, they do see it as that.
Right.
There's no question that they see it as that. Whether Trump sees it as that, that's another question. I kind of doubt it. But that's the funny thing. So all these things that they're behind, that they see the anti-porn thing as nascent anti-Semitism, potential anti-Semitism.
Yeah, and notice how because think of it this way. I mean, if someone chooses not to use porn, how does that impact your life in any way? And yet look at the sheer vitriol and hate. And the mocking,
you are actually attacked for saying, I don't approve of porn. I don't like that. I think we should stop using it. Like your attack is weird. You are expected. No, not just
weird. You're when you say, "Hey, I stopped using this product and I feel great now. I feel I'm losing some of this anxiety problem I had. I have better libido.
I can maintain erections."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got these guys in their freaking 20s. That can't get hard. Right?
Yeah.
I mean that's obviously something is causing that.
Yeah, that's not normal.
That's not normal. All right. So if that's the case, why would you sneer at someone? Why would you make a snarky comment about someone that says, "Hey, I have this problem and I stopped watching this trash and I don't have this problem anymore. Maybe you guys should try it."
Yeah.
It makes me think that you're in on it.
Yeah, and that and they also leverage the Bugman that's still into it, that can't stop the habit, that doesn't have the willpower to stop it, and feels maybe somewhere inside he feels some shame, but the social acceptance of the porn makes it like, okay, I'll keep going with it, and then he feels threatened by the guy that's like,
and that's another big thing about the Bugman.
Yeah,
if the experts say it's okay, it's got to be okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because the man in the lab coat says it's good for me.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with porn. That's a healthy expression of your sexuality. You can just watch, you can watch women that are hotter than women you'll ever be able to get choked out by these big muscular dudes and rammed with huge fucking horse cocks. And you're not going to have
healthy.
That's not going to be happening to you, but whatever, that's fine. You're never going to have to deal with any.
You don't have to that's not going to impact your mind in any way.
No, that's definitely not going to lead to like
watch this, since a lot of these guys they're 9 or 10 years old when they first
watching
watch
that shit is not going to warp your sexuality or like break down your dopamine receptors in your brain, right? None of that's going to happen. No, it's not. It's not like it's a literal fucking narcotic effect on your brain. Like that's not at all the case. So
and it's not like things like portrayals of sexuality are very nuanced and complex in terms of how the brain interprets and engages with them. So it's just really healthy, and especially if you have a real life woman with you, what's even healthier, putting on a porn movie, and watching it with her and get her into it,
and then fuck her in the butt rather than the vagina
while you watch some other guy doing it to someone in a movie. Yeah,
that's healthy.
And it's really totally healthy. And what's funny? I think porn is worse for women than men because, as you know, women have the different dopamine receptors where they get more addicted to things like cocaine and to gambling, to things like that.
And women get
addicted to social media because of this. So with something like 35 or 40% of women watching pornography, young women, I mean, what does this have? What kind of effect is this having on them?
And it didn't.
If it's hitting guys like this, what's it doing to women?
It didn't used to be that women watched it because it was geared toward a male sexuality, but now women are like embracing a male sexuality type. Male pornography was about a male libido. It was about male, like, men, like, dominating this bitch and fucking her till she screamed. You know what I mean?
Right.
And women's sexual fantasies are more about, like, somebody being, like, tender and gentle and loving. And I know that that's, like, not entirely true. But it's also, like, become the case because they're watching a lot of porn.
Yeah, is it the chicken or the egg? Right.
Like we don't actually know, right? Because we've been dealing with crazy bitches.
Well, let me tell you something right now. When you go out on a date with a woman and you take her back to your place and she says, "Come fuck my face," in those words, guess what? No chick comes up with that on their own.
Yeah, that's not normal. That's she's been affected by something.
No, she saw that in a porn movie.
Yeah.
Right. No one says no girl dreaming about being a princess in a castle dreams about the prince fucking her face in those words. All right.
Well,
of course, I know there's another side to it and such, but any woman that comes up to you and says that in those words exactly is watching it.
Yeah. And I'm not, like, women like the domination, but they don't.
That's without a doubt.
But they don't. They expect you to know to do it.
Yeah.
They don't want, like. Yeah, the porn dynamic is not normal because what happens is, and it's a male sort of fantasy that the woman is like so turned on, she's like begging and begging and begging. Like that's not the typical way that it goes,
No.
It's very warped. It's not how normal sexuality is, and on some level, like, I don't know what sexuality was like 100 years ago. Like, I just don't know what it was like. We don't know what sexuality was like in a society where people had, I mean, for most of the world's history, the first time a man saw a vagina was when he was about to fuck it.
Right. That's true.
Seriously.
Yeah. And how can you say that a total shift in that dynamic isn't going to impact society?
Yeah. In this time, like I've been seeing pussy since I was prepubescent, since I was like under, and I'm older, so I can only imagine what it's like now. Like I had seen what naked women looked like. I had seen like up close pictures of like butts and pussies and everything, and watch people fucking, like, because I was online when I was a teenager, when I was 12. And even then you could get that stuff. And it's even worse now. Like, I couldn't get video of, like, intense porn sex when I was a kid. Okay? That wasn't available. I could get pictures.
Well, no, what I would do, like, back on my Windows 95, what you'd do is that you'd go on the websites and it would take, like, 2 hours to load a picture. Like,
yes.
It would take, like, 2 hours.
You'd wait for that.
I'd wait, though.
Yeah, of course you would. Of course you would.
As the little pixels would gradually fill the screen.
Yeah.
Or better yet, you would go on the website and like you'd get bombarded by like 1,000 ads at the same time. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
You'd go on the website and get bombarded, and then suddenly like your grandma would walk in the room, and you'd have like, how the fuck do I turn this off?
Yeah. Yeah. The whole thing freezes up. Yeah.
It freezes up, and they keep coming at you.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing, is that's not normal. We don't know what it's like. And even as recently as 100 years ago and 70 years ago, even like for the most part, the first time a guy saw a girl naked, that was when he was going to have sex for the first time. And so it's like, yeah, like your experience with seeing nude women was just nude women in front of you. And like you didn't have, sure you had, there's also like the whole thing of like, okay, so there's like pinup girls and you want to put pictures of pretty girls on the wall and stuff. And that's like, that almost seems kitsch to us now. You know what I mean? That would have seemed like indecent.
Yeah, but that's how it started back, that kind of stuff. It's how it started.
Yeah.
With the pinup girls. This is how they the Jew is the subverter within the form, right?
Yeah.
It starts with the pinup girls, it goes on to the dirty magazines. It goes on to the dirty stories, the erotic stories, and then it turns into the full-fledged 4,000K or whatever high-definition virtual reality now. We got
high-definition VR streaming like butt sex.
Yeah, Bugmen will put on VR glasses. I mean, they have conventions where they do this. The Bugmen will put on the VR glasses, and they got like this thing that you put around your waist, and it beats you off.
Yeah, no, I know. Tell it to die.
They're watching, yeah. And they're watching it, and they're like getting off to this shit, and it's like so creepy, right? And this is the future of this stuff.
On some level, it's like I couldn't live with myself.
If you do that,
if I ever found myself doing that, I don't. What do you do? How do you once you nut? Like, what do you do? Like, you now have done that bit, and you're like, oh wait. I still have this thing strapped to my cock. I still have this thing strapped to my head. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, yeah.
Oh,
I can't even imagine the shame like crashing down on me.
I mean, notice how that stuff is all legal. It's legal to pay someone to have sexual intercourse as long as it's filmed.
Yeah.
Because between all that stuff, I'm not saying it's correct, but if you're going to do that, why not just pay a hooker, right? Mm-hmm. Have a brothel open, like in Europe. The men in Europe have a healthier sexuality than American men. That's without any doubt. And
at least they did. I mean, I think they've been they've been impacted by this porn shit too.
Sure, but you'll notice that men in Europe and France and Germany and whatnot, they're way less anxious with women than American men are. American men are they're afraid of women to a point. And I think part of that is the fact that American men have a very strange relationship towards women in the sense of they perceive women to be unattainable. You understand?
Yeah.
In Europe, it's not like that. In Europe, men don't see women as that different or as unattainable as American men do. And then I think that part of that is because of how overrated American women are. They get a lot of attention from men. There's the dating market's all fucked up because of the obesity problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, but in Europe it's not like that. But also in Europe, guess what? If you are a thirsty guy and you go out and you don't bag anything, you can just go to the brothel and get some pussy there for like €100. All right, and it's usually pretty good. So like that's a subtle difference. In America, on the other hand, you just keep the thirst up and you satiate it temporarily with the pornography, but then you're still thirsty, and it's just
the porn doesn't help that anxiety. The porn doesn't help that anxiety
makes
issue.
It worse.
Makes it worse. Yeah, it makes all women seem like like unattainable. I mean, and this is also where the Xer versus the younger kid thing comes in, because I've been like, I don't venture into trying to give advice on this stuff because it's not going to help anything, right? Like, I'm not the guy to do it, and I think that when I've sort of just low key done it, like, why don't you just talk to these girls? Like, what the hell? Like, guys get like mad, and they like there was this whole extra millennial war over this stuff. It was kind of a joke for a lot of it.
Yeah,
but it was still like it existed, and certainly you go on 4chan and you just see the absolute depths of this shit. Like, just like I can't even. The green
what cracks
text.
me up? Have you seen the talking about Spurgs and the stuff, the lookism.net? Have you ever seen that shit?
No, I have not.
You've never seen that? Okay, so it's this website. It's called lookism.net, and it's these guys that they're incels.
Oh my god.
And they post pictures of themselves, and they say, "So what should I do?" And the comments in the like, you know, it could be a guy that looks totally normal. Maybe his hairline is a little receded, or he's a couple inches shorter than average, or he's a little chubby or whatever. And instead of telling them, "Hey, work it out with yourself first, get in shape, and maybe get a little more no, you know what they do? They say, "Oh no, you need plastic surgery. Go get some plastic surgery because you need to have your jaw and your cheekbone has to be this specific length between themselves, or else women will think you're a subhuman and you'll die an incel." Like, this is the shit that they talk about.
Jesus fucking Christ!
Look this fucking website up. It's
Jesus fucking.
Are you looking it up?
Lookism. Okay. What lookism.info?
I don't know. It's Lookism forum. You got to see this, man. It's like hard.
Okay.
It's like Lookism forum. Hold on. Yeah. Like this is like a fucking lookism.net. The aesthetics, red pill, and masculinity discussion board. And
oh my god. This is not, I'm not ready for this.
Dude, they the advice they give on here, it's like, hey,
this is the forefront of the coping movement.
Dude, they tell each other to get there was one guy, I remember seeing this on Reddit. He got the tranny surgery because he was an incel, so he became a girl. And it's just like some sick shit. I mean, this is like, you thought millennials were bad. This is like the even younger crowd that are doing this.
Oh my god, dude!
Like this guy over here is like, "Hey, I'm 6'6", and I saw this guy. He's 6'11". Now I can't talk to girls." Like,
dude, this site.
Yeah, have you? See, you've never heard of this?
Oh my god! I'm looking right now at an animated GIF that's like, it's like a galaxy spinning around, but instead of the core, the core of the galaxy, it's like a pussy. It's like this is like how they view the pussy, right? Like this is how
looks maxing. That's what it's called. Looks maxing.
Okay, yeah, I see that. I see that form. I see that thread. That's like one of the top level forums. Looks maxing. Oh my god. Oh my
rate
god.
And give surgery advice.
Next training thread. The complete looks maxing guide for the 4 to 7 normal fag. CT bone, 3D printed bone implants. Asymmetric shoulders and chest. Rate and give surgery advice. Can I send to Chad? How much does my eye asymmetry ruin me? Is it possible to have correct tongue posture with piercing? How's my side profile? Could cosmetic facial surgery help me lose my virginity? Botox into... I don't know what that word is. Let me just... These message jaw maxing, all face pullers.
Jaw maxing.
Get the fuck in here. All face pullers, get the fuck in here. Wait, what is this? Astaxanthin, jawnomics.
Sounds like a dangerous drug.
Yeah, that sounds like something I don't want anything to do with. Post your tips on face pulling and how to create a wider face. Dude. Holy shit.
Skin maxing. Face pulling. What? I mean, this is what watching too much porn does to you.
Yes.
All right. I mean, it turns you into this.
This is like still pretty niche. Like these forums don't have that many posts, but god damn it.
Yeah, man. But this is still pretty sizable, considering what it is.
Do I have too much forward growth of the mandible? Sometimes I think my jaw plus chin look very good. Pics 2, 5, and 8. Sometimes I think they look comically overgrown. Pics 1 and 4. One reason I believe it is overgrown is that it causes me to look pouty from the front and makes my lips downturned. I think my chin is literally pulling my mouth downwards. I'm not considering this right now, but would a sliding genioplasty be necessary or improve my look? Would it be beneficial to have it simply reduced, or would it be better to have it pulled down so it's taller? Does it lack vertical height? Lastly, does my maxilla appear recessed? What the fuck?
Dude, it's not a joke either. These guys take this shit seriously.
I don't see how it could be like a joke.
And they actually do go and they get the surgeries and stuff.
Oh my god.
Like they go and they get plastic surgery, and then it turns into this whole new thing where they're like,
oh my god, dude,
obviously you're never going to be happy if you're this autistic.
I'm looking at the picture series the guy linked. He's he's not even like that abnormal looking, but just his facial expression. He's so dead. He's so blank and empty and dead. It's like, what the fuck? How did this happen to us? Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
We have to win.
Oh, yeah.
We have to win. This can't. It's funny, but oh my god, we can't let this continue. We can't.
No.
This has to be stopped. Oh, jeez. All right. Well, wow.
Curved gonile angles. Angles. This is shit.
Oh my god.
I've got gonile angles that bend inwards into my neck. There is a way to make them flange like this, and here's the thing. You know what the real sad.
I don't even know what half of these terms mean.
No, hold on. A lot of these guys are in our circles, like they post on our forums and shit, like TRS and what is it? And like there's Daily Stormer guys. I know there's Nazis on this forum, so like, we can laugh about this a little bit, but like this is like, this is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we got to show these guys, like, not lecture them, but show them. Sure, self-improvement, but not like this. Like,
no, this is not self-improvement, because this is some other shit.
Yeah, this is.
This is some other shit.
This
is not. I'm still not even convinced it's real, but who knows?
No, oh no, this is real, friend. Nasolabial folds, the mega thread.
Nasolabial mega thread. It's actually a mega thread. There's like, this thread's got like 20,000 views. Oh my god.
Yep, and here we go.
Actually, the nasolabial region and folds are a very good way to identify Jews. But
really,
yeah. Because you ever heard of the Semitic smile?
Sure, yeah.
How Jews seem to always be like grinning, or so at least some types of Jews, just some Jewish facial types seem to always have like a pulled back face and smile. Yeah, that's like they call that the Semitic smile. It's
interesting.
Europeans don't have that. It's a Jew thing, and an Arab thing. Arabs have it too, because they're cousins. They're cousins, as we know.
Yeah, sort of, but yeah. See, this is the thing. This is what happens when you live in a world of fantasy. You become afraid of the real world.
Yeah, you don't realize that you don't have to be. You don't have to look like fucking Leonardo DiCaprio to get pussy. Like, you really don't.
No, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It is harder for guys nowadays. But like, if you have a certain, and I'm not gonna tell you that you're gonna get like supermodels if you're not good looking, but you can still get something. Like,
yeah,
you just got to
fine. If you're not the best looking guy, and maybe your girlfriend's like, I don't know, she's a little bit chubby or not perfect. Who cares? Whatever. So what?
Right. Yeah. And a lot of these guys, they're socially inept, so they don't understand like the value of non-sexual companionship. Right. All they think about is sex, and that's not good either. So
yeah, and they don't understand they don't understand the value of the companionship, and they don't understand Like they think the girl, like if the other men don't, like the girl has to only be there to show to other men.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like that she's there just for you.
Well,
You know?
I'll tell you from personal experience that women that are more average looking obviously make way better girlfriends.
Yeah.
Because when you have a super hot girlfriend, I tell you this from my own experience, you're constantly fucking
You're constantly worried.
constantly. Because even if they're good girls, there's always guys hitting on them,
Oh,
and it's a
always,
matter of
always.
time before someone cracks that nut. You know,
Yeah.
and that's the way it works in the society. You know, so you're constantly fighting, you're constantly paranoid about the Facebook, constantly. I'd rather have a nice girl that's a little plainer, that knows how to cook something, that knows how to maybe is nice and affectionate, and will give me a nice massage, and you know, there's more to women than just how they look. You know.
Yeah.
That you should use to formulate expectations in a relationship. Because if all you're going for is looks, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. I think we can end it there. We've done like almost 3 hours. I said we were going to end.
I've
this
been
at 2
I've been holding back vomit the whole time. So
Are you serious?
that's why. Yeah, I'm pretty hungover. So like,
all right, you go take care of that then.
yeah. So
I'm gonna end it here, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna edit together the audio, and I'll put it out there. I'll probably just put it out there. Maybe I'll put it out there in the morning. I'll probably put it out there in the morning as a Christmas Eve stocking stuffer.
yeah. Okay.
Oh man, we got a bunch of calls. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, and we'll be we'll see you. Everybody have a Merry Christmas.
Yep.
Very Merry Christmas to all Strike and Mike and TRS fans and Stormer fans out there. And we'll see you soon.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep. Happy Christmas holidays.
No, it's just Christmas. There's only one holiday, bro. It's just
What
Christmas.
about wait a second. Hey, what about Festivus?
Yeah.
That's what the Bugmen are celebrating.
Yeah.
Bugmen love Festivus.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Yeah. See you guys next week. All right.